So I finally finished it. This is why, despite saying that there's going to be a journal entry every day, this is what I've been working on for so long. This took way longer than I thought it would. This is the ultimate top 10 manifesto. It is a top 10 of top 10s. So here's how it works. In the event of a tie, I decide to go with a decimal system, where if it's closer to a higher number or a lower number is directly correlated to the decimal that it's given. So basically, 10.5 is better than 10.9 because that's closer to 1. 1.5 is better than 1.9 because that's closer to 1 than it is 2. Make sense? Alright, so, first things first, top 10 games, and here you can already see what number 1 is. It's Pokemon Moon. This was a really difficult decision, because I love so many games. And in the honorable mentions, I had to limit myself. Yes, there are honorable mentions. I had to limit myself to an arbitrary number, just so it wouldn't go on forever, because it totally would. I even think I got a little crazy with the decimal ties. Anyway. So Pokemon Moon. This was a hard realization to come to, that I liked Pokemon Moon better than Pokemon Yellow. Because I had liked Pokemon Yellow for like 20 years straight, and when you're that set on something, it's hard to like let go. But thinking about Pokemon Moon and the way it made me feel, and just how much I enjoyed it, how much I got to enjoy it, because this came out while I was in college, so I didn't have a whole lot of time to play it, so it took me 2 years to finish it totally. So probably, due to the fact that I spent a long time with it, that probably factored into how attached I became to it. And it is to the point where I want to play this game again, but I don't at the same time, because if I don't play it with the same team that I had, and I don't mean like the same Pokemon, I mean the exact same Pokemon, like the exact same 6 that are already like level 70, and that would be no fun. And I just feel like it just wouldn't be the same. So yeah, Pokemon Moon, it's got a great balance of difficulty. There's a lot of boss fights in this game that kicked my ass. Pokemon games usually are not difficult. Usually when people say, oh yeah, the earlier games were so much harder than the later ones, that's mainly because you were a kid when you played those games. And if you played them as an adult, they wouldn't be that hard. I mean, in Red and Blue, Lorelei Slowbro knows Water Gun, for crying out loud. But Pokemon Moon kicked my ass as an adult. Fuck Totem Salazzle in particular. This Totem Salazzle could outspeed every single one of my Pokemon. Even Diglett, which was my fastest Pokemon. And Diglett probably could have one-shot it, due to the fact that it's 4 times weak to ground. But it outsped Diglett and one-shot Diglett, and then it proceeded to outspeed and one-shot every single one of my Pokemon. I had to get lucky on, damage ratios, and critical hits in order to get past that one. It was wild. Um, and the characters I believe are probably the most likable out of almost any game I've ever played. I When I look back on this game, that's mainly what I think of, and I miss it. um, but and oh, and probably most importantly, the Pokemon themselves. Every single Pokemon, um, feels like it belongs. It feels like it could realistically live in a tropical climate. Uh, Hawaii, um, and and it manages to do this while also being having a diverse selection. Um, if I was gonna say, um, had a per, if any game had a perfect Pokédex, it's this one. I feel like I feel like was Lickitung in Pokemon Moon? Because Lickitung, I feel like would really fit in a tropical setting. So maybe not perfect, um, but as close to perfect as you can get with game locations. It was not. It was an ultra, so I have to give the ultra games points for that. Um, Even though the majority of the additions to the Pokédex and the Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, I feel like didn't belong in a tropical climate, like Zoroark. I feel like Blossom would really fit because it's Blossom's based on the Hawaiian dancer. Um, let's see, is Blossom in game locations? It is not, and it's not even in the Ultra yet. That's a shame. Um, so not perfect, but I would say, as far as Pokemon goes, Pokemon Moon is as close to perfect as you can get. And because I just had to, Pokemon Yellow has such a in the 1.4 slot, Pokemon Yellow has such a special place in my heart. Um, it has, to this day, the best follower system um, in any Pokemon game. Because the fact that it was limited to Pikachu means that they could really go into detail and really make Pikachu feel alive. Um, Nowadays, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, um, and any other subsequent follower systems, even Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, um, because the follower system in that game, let's be honest, it was just an expanded version of Pokemon and Me, um, which really, it was nice, but it wasn't the same thing. Um, but follower system and subsequent games, while they have a larger selection of Pokemon that you can follow you literally all of them. They had to make it so generic enough to work with every Pokemon, so it doesn't, in comparison to Pokemon Yellow, it feels kind of soulless. Where Pokemon uh, Yellow, Pikachu actually felt like he was with you, and he would start out hating you and grow to like you over the course of your adventure. Every time you talked to him, there would be, a little window with a little animated sprite of Pikachu doing some sort of emotion. Um, Whereas in subsequent games, you would just, talk to your Pokemon, and they'd have like a little heart come up um, over their heads. Um, it felt like Pikachu was actually there with you, whereas, in subsequent games, it was, I don't want to say like an empty husk, but I think you know what I mean. So yeah, even though Pokemon Yellow is not my absolute favorite game anymore, it's still a very special game. Um, that even its own remake couldn't truly capture what made it special. And Pokemon Crystal, um, in the 1.6 slot. Um, so, by the way, as an example of the decimal system, Pokemon Yellow in 1.4 is higher than Pokemon Crystal by zero point 0.2 places. That's how that works. So Pokemon Crystal. Pokemon Crystal, I like better than Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and the reason for that is I actually Gen 2 has a really shitty level curve, but I feel like it works in Pokemon Crystal. Whereas because they were able to fine tune it from Gold and Silver, and it's still a Gen 2 game, whereas Heart Gold and Soul Silver takes that same shitty level curve, but puts it into Gen 4, where you've got, this physical special split, and Alakazam is a piece of shit, and um, it just doesn't work as well. And also, Pokemon Crystal has the odd egg, which is totally radical. Not many people talk about it, but it is the odd. Every time I replay Pokemon Crystal, the odd egg is what I look forward to the most, because you don't know what you're gonna get with it. It's a genuine surprise every time. And that's something I really wish they did in other games, but they don't. Okay, now close the door. But they don't. Um, so I really think it's like such a small thing, but I really think that is what makes this game so good, because I look forward to it every playthrough. Um, it's a genuine surprise every time, and I'm repeating myself, but um, yeah, it's a good game. I really like it. You never know what you're gonna get out of the odd egg, and that's so cool, and I can't believe they never did anything like it again. Um, ah, it was such a cool. Ah! And also, Pokemon Crystal is also very special to me because this was the first game that I could readily play. Um, this was not the first game I have ever played. That actually does go to Pokemon Yellow. Um, when Back when I still lived in Cambridge, my cousin, he would come over every Christmas from West Virginia, and he would bring his Game Boy. Um, and it was either Super Mario World, the Game Boy version, or Pokemon Yellow. I think it was Pokemon Yellow, because I think that's why there was two things I loved the most during that time, and that was Pokemon and dinosaurs. So I'm pretty sure it was Pokemon Yellow. That Pokemon Yellow was the first game I ever played, because I think my interest in Super Mario World, and the reason why I remember it from that time for so long, is because Yoshi is in that game, and he was like a Pokemon dinosaur kind of thing. Um, it was like the two things I loved the most combined into one, and it was Yoshi. Um, or maybe it was just because he was a dinosaur, and who knows? I don't know. Um, that's just the way I logicked it. um, but yeah, Pokemon Yellow was the first game I ever played. Pokemon Crystal, I did not own, but it was the first game that I had in my house that I could play anytime. This was actually my mother's game. She got it after 9/11 to just kind of help take her mind off of things. Um, and we would play it together. It's probably one of my fondest memories in my life, just playing Pokemon with my mom. Um, she chose the female character. I forget what she named it. It might have been her name, Faith, but she chose Cyndaquil as her starter, so that's kind of why I have an attachment to Cyndaquil also. Um, it was just a good time, and of course, that's totally subjective, and it's just a thing, just a me thing. Um, but it just makes me happy. Anyway, and then in 1.7 we have Pokemon Blue. Um, of course, Pokemon Yellow is better in every way, but I just had to put Pokemon Blue here because this was the first game that I actually owned. Um, of course, um, when my parents let me choose my own game, I chose Pokemon Blue because blue is was my favorite color. It still is. Um, and I chose Squirtle as my starter because for two reasons. I believe I named my character Chris because Christian would not fit. Um, I picked Squirtle for two reasons. One is because I knew he would be Blastoise, and Blastoise is on the cover. And two is because I knew he was blue, and blue is my favorite color. Those are literally the only two reasons. He's blue, and he turned into Blastoise, who is on the cover, who is also blue. So, that's why I really like Squirtle, because he was my first Pokemon. And then, he's special to me. Number 2, Earthbound. Earthbound, I have a really weird relationship with. When this was released, I played this on the Wii U. When it was released for the game for the Virtual Console, I had no interest in playing it, but everyone said it was really good, so I was like, all right, I'll check it out. I'll see what all the hype is about. And I didn't like it at first. But the more I started to play, the more I played it, the more I started to like it, and before I even knew it, I loved this game. And the fact that, you know, and it's not lost on me that the fact that the game is a coming of age story. And in a similar fashion, that's how my relationship with this game kind of unfolded. I started out not really liking it, not really understanding why it was given such high praise. And then, slowly but surely, it became one of my favorite games of all time. The storyline is beautiful. It actually brought me to tears. Um, it's just, it gave me a sort of feeling that's really hard to explain. Um, but if I were to put it into words, it feels like love. And it feels like a miracle of God and a miracle of love. And that's what Earthbound is to me. And it came to me at probably the most pivotal moment of my life. Um, when at the tail end of my 6 year long depression, um, or maybe it was 8, I don't really remember. But it was about the time that I kind of realized that I really liked this game. I went, I came back, I played it, and then, I went back to my apartment, because, all my games were at home, um, which is why I didn't get very far in Pokemon Moon while I was in college, because I kept all my games at home. So I went back to my apartment, and the next day for school, I was walking to college, and I stepped outside. It was spring, the pear blossoms and cherry blossoms were out. I took a deep breath of air, and I thought to myself, life is worth living. Life is good. I have a good life. I am happy. And I associate that feeling with Earthbound because that's what I was doing at the time. Love is a melody we all can sing. And also, the difficulty in this game really ties into the coming of age story theme, um, because it starts out super hard and gets easier as it goes on, as you start to get a hang of things, just like as you start to get a hang of life. Nessie starts out all alone and without any skills, and by the end of the game, he has 3 other companions and a whole repertoire of powerful psychic abilities, and life is good. And so is this game. That is a product of life. Super Mario 64. In 3rd grade, this was my obsession. This is what turned me into a Mario fan. Well, no. Super Mario World did, because of Yoshi. But this game blew my mind, man. It was like opening up a toy box or a storybook for the first time, and just it was a magical experience jumping into the paintings. It was wonderful. And this might not have been the game to turn me into a Mario fan, but for the longest time, Mario was my hero, and this game is why. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, in 3.3. Um, I honestly couldn't decide which one to put in the 3 spot, because I was like, alright, it's a Mario game. But is it Mario 64, which I absolutely adore? Or is it Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, which is like one of the best Mario games ever? It has a rich story, really compelling gameplay, pretty much everything you could ever want in a game. Eventually, I ended up going with Mario 64 because Mario 64 kind of defined part of me. It was really like a formative experience. It was my obsession, like I said. Whereas Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door is just a damn good game. It's really good, and I really wish they made another one in the same style, because other Paper Marios don't really aren't RPGs, except for Super Paper Mario, which is a good game, but not it's not the same. It's an action based game. It's not turn based like this one is. Um, and modern Paper Mario goes really hard in like the paper theme, whereas I think Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door did the best with like the paper airplane that you could transform into. I think that alone was the best use of the paper theme, and it was like a minor feature. Well, not a minor feature, but you know what I mean. They don't like hammer it into your skull that everything is paper and we have to make paper references all the time to paper. And it's like, listen, turning into a paper airplane goes a long way, and that's really all you need. I liked Origami King, and I liked Color Splash. Um, but it just wasn't the same, man. Origami King, especially because I was excited for Origami King because looking at the trailer, it looked like a return to the original format. Um, but in actuality, it was like a halfway, where it's like, yeah, all these features are back. The turn-based combat, the multiple um, infinite use moves like the hammer and the jump, instead of just being like, you use them once and then that's it. You gotta get like another item to use it again instead of, item-based combat. Um, and, partners are back, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, turn-based combat is back, yes. The regular moves like hammer and jump is back, yes, but all your other moves, instead of using the FP system, are item based, and every partner in the game is only temporary. There's no permanent party members. Um, so, and the thing about games that like try to like fill that void, like Bug Fables, is that part of the thing that I like Paper Mario so much is that it takes Mario and turns it into an actual like universe with lore. Like Koopas and Goombas are like people, and that was what was really interesting about this game. Um, the most interesting, and it's like with Bug Fables, it's like I don't care because it's not Mario. I'd just rather play Paper Mario. Um, and that's really why I recommend Chris Tales, because it's like Paper Mario, but not so much that it just makes you think, I wish I was just playing Paper Mario. um, and I just realized I talked more about Paper Mario than I did Mario 64. But trust me, I really love Mario 64. It's a magical wonderland of an experience. It's incredible. I feel like I'm not doing you justice, Mario 64. You know how much I love you. Our love, our love is so great. We don't need words, Mario 64. You're a great game. You defined me. You defined my childhood. You defined a generation of Christians. I am the only Christian, but you defined me. I was obsessed with you, Mario 64. No other 3D Mario captured my heart the way that you did. I love you, Mario 64. Nintendo 64 is my favorite console, by the way. Number 4, Persona 4. Yes, I put this in the number 4 slot on purpose because I am the worst. But seriously, this game, I played this game in high school. It was kind of a pretty cool experience because it was like the ultimate self-insert experience. It's like you're in high school. I was in high school. It's it's the main it's the main character's second year in high school. It was my second year in high school. Um, so yeah, it was like the ultimate self-insert experience. It was like my my fantasy come alive. Um, like this was the life that I wanted to have, the life I wish I could have. Um, it has a really interesting story. Um, the beginning parts of the game, it gets it's like four hours until you even get to the tutorial battle, but it doesn't feel like it's that long because the story and writing is so good, it engages you and it doesn't feel like you're just like, oh, let me get to the game. It doesn't feel like that. Um, because you're genuinely enjoying it. Um, and the cast of characters are some of the best in anything, and any movie, any game, any book, any fictional story. Kanji Tatsumi, aside from like mascot characters that I absolutely adore, like Mario and Mickey Mouse and Sonic, Kanji, I think, is my favorite character in any story ever. Um, he's hilarious. He has so much. He has got a lot of depth about his outer image, and in stark contrast with his personality. He's the reason why I say I love cute shit, because that's actually his line. Um, his whole thing about the fact that he likes quote unquote girly activities like painting, sewing, and as he put it, cute shit. Um, where he tries to be overly masculine, overly manly, uh, to compensate for it. Um, and I don't like Persona 4 Golden. Um, when I say Persona 4, I mean the PlayStation 2 game. Um, because I think Persona 4 Golden kind of messes with the game's balance. It just doesn't feel very fun. And also Marie is cringe. I like Marie. Um, I like Marie's design. I like her voice. I like her voice actors' delivery on her lines. I do not like Marie herself. And the added story is, number one, revolves around Marie, and it goes into like fan fiction levels of that. If you're gonna play Persona 4, play the vanilla version. It's so much better. Um, but yeah, it has probably some of the funnest turn-based combat. Um, the fun, you know, the most in some of the most interesting dating sim elements. The best characters. It it's a really good game. And a really interesting story. It's a murder mystery. Um, and everything kind of like ties together. It doesn't overly explain everything. There's even to this day some things that I'm still kind of like scratching my head about, because there's no confirmation. It's all just like up to like theories to like solve, um, and but there are enough hints for scattered around for you to kind of like figure out what these mysteries mean. And Persona 4 is a good game, man. And 4.5, yes, I also did that on purpose. Persona 5. I did not like Persona 5 as much as Persona 4. However, it was still really good. And again, like Persona 4, I'm talking about the vanilla version, not Persona 5 Royal. Persona 5 Royal is trash. Because once again, it screws up the game's balance and it's just not fun. Also, the story is kind of, the new story is kind of fanfiction-y, but not as bad as Persona 4 Golden. It's a new story. I will give it that, but it's still not great. But yeah, there are some things I think it does better than Persona 4, but there are some things that I think it doesn't do as good as Persona 4. I will say though that I really liked the characters. Not as much as Kanji. Kanji's great. I liked, probably, I think Persona 5 has the strongest side characters. Aside from, Dojima and Nanako. Because those guys were great in Persona 4. I think it has the best side characters. Because this is the only game where I kind of like prioritize doing this social links, or confidants as they're called in this game, of the side characters more than the playable cast, because I've just found them more interesting. And I'll go into more about that later down this list, because there is something later down the line in the Ultimate Top 10 Manifesto, that relates to that, so I'll save it for that. But ultimately, I ended up liking the characters so much that I did, even though I knew I wasn't gonna like Persona 5 Royal, I got it anyway, just because I just wanted to see these characters again. I didn't care how bad the new story was gonna be, if it meant we got more of these guys as a group. It's funny. I like the Persona 4 cast better individually, but as a group, I like the Persona 5 cast better, if that makes any sense. Yeah, it's a good game. Also, there's one thing in the story, I'm not going to say what it is, because I'm not going to spoil it. Absolutely blew my mind. I immediately played a second playthrough just so I could catch the foreshadowing to it, and it was, oh boy, definitely play this game twice. It's that good. 4.8, Devil Survivor Overclocked. Probably, I have played this game probably more than I have played any other game. I believe I've done 8 playthroughs to get all the endings. The characters are pretty much just as good as Persona 5's cast. Maybe no, I would say they're not as good as Persona 4's cast, but better than Persona's 5 cast. I would put them, as far as characters go, in the middle. It has a really, really interesting story about just trying not to die, hence the name Survivor. And it takes place over the course of just a week, and so much happens in that week. This is a good game, man. But it will kick your ass. I have spent months on just trying to figure out how to beat not even a boss fight, just like a regular battle that I could not get past. This is a good game. And I'm starting to lose my voice, and we're only in the first top 10. So maybe I have to, like, I don't want to just go, like, boom, 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 bullet point, but at the same time, I will die if I don't, like, tone it down. Number 5, Xenoblade. Great game. It has Rhine. It has the hero pawn. Great story. I think Xenoblade is my favorite story ever. Not just in games, not just in anything ever. That includes movies, books, the whole shebang. But when I say that Xenoblade is my favorite story ever, I don't just mean one game. I mean all of the Xenoblade games and how they connect to each other and make one gigantic story. Basically, I'm talking about Perfect Works, which is the outline for the Xenoblade story. True to its name, I think it's my favorite story. It's the best story I've ever heard. And it's not even done yet. But yeah, this game has a lot of things to do. If you go for 100%, it can take you like a million years just to finish it. There's tons of quests, tons of enemies. It's basically a single player MMO, but like one that you don't need other players to have fun in. Because I know what you're gonna say, the reason why you would play an MMO is to play with other people. But the battle system is it's like an MMO. Where it's like, you lock onto an enemy and you do like an auto attack, and then you have like abilities that you use. It's like that. And it's just like, if you want to play this game forever, you can. That's just how much there is in this game. It's a good game. Also, it has good memes. Now it's Rhine time. Oh yeah. You can't have a rainbow without Rhine, baby. Alley oop. Hero pawn, very cool. 5.2, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And yes, I did that on purpose. I actually could not decide what to put in the 5 slot, but then I kind of realized, okay, yeah, I like Xenoblade 1 just a little bit better than Xenoblade 2. I think Xenoblade 1 has a better story, but I think Xenoblade 2 has better characters. And yes, that includes Rhine and the hero pawn. Everything from the first that I said about the first Xenoblade applies to this one. It's just, there's so much to do. It has a great story, great characters. It's just, there's a whole lot to love about this game, and not a whole lot to not love about this game. It's a really good game. And a lot of people didn't like the blade system, but I really liked it. I thought it was fun to get like a random playable character every now and then. And this game, I think, because of that, has more replayability than Xenoblade 1. Because to this day, I'm still coming up with like new builds for like the characters, and that's really fun. Xenoblade 2 is a really good game. 5.5, Xenoblade Chronicles X. Probably my least favorite Xenoblade game, but still a really good game. This one, the story's not it's like okay. It has a really good ending, but other than that, the build up to that really good ending is just kind of eh. Uh, but where it really shines is the characters. Um, I don't think there's a single character I don't like, except for Bose and HB. Fuck those two. Um, Everyone else is great, especially Rock. I love Rock. I love Rock in Xenoblade 2. Vandam is my favorite Xenoblade character in all three games. And he's in Xenoblade 2. Um, anyway, this game I think probably has the most to do in the game. Um, when I finally 100% in it, I actually got really sad because it's like it was over. Like that was it. What am I gonna do now? I spent so much time playing this game, and now there's nothing left to do. I it was a heartbreaking moment. Um, and that's how you know it's a good game when you're just sad it's over. Not because it was like a really heartbreaking ending or the game, it was sad or anything like that. It was just because it was over. And that, I think, is the mark of a really good game, when you just don't want it to end. Dragon Quest V: Hand of the Heavenly Bride, also known as the best Dragon Quest game. I really like this game. Um, this game has like monster collection. You can recruit monsters into your party, so you got like a million different party setups you could go for. Um, in addition to the human characters, there are human party members and there are monster party members, so you can kind of like there's a ton of possibilities you can do with this, and the story is legitimately like a fairy tale. It's a magical experience, and I cannot recommend it enough. It's so good. Also, Bianca is best girl. And honestly, I think this guy, the main character, has probably one of the coolest designs. It's so simple, yet the turban, the purple cape, the staff, um, it just all works. And I like to imagine that you'll be using swords in the majority of the game. I like to imagine that the staff kind of like takes on the stats of the sword. So when you like attack with the sword, he's actually like smacking them with the staff, and but it cuts like a sword, and I don't know, I just think that's pretty cool. um, but yeah, so much I love about this game, but I cannot tell you about it because it would be like major spoilers. This is definitely a game that is best played knowing nothing about it. Play this game. It's really good. 6.4, Dragon Quest IX, Sentinels of the Starry Skies. Um, the story for this game is kind of and the characters are kind of non-existent. I'll never forgive them for what they did to Aaron, who was a legitimately good character. Same with Patty, and then they just turned her into an NPC at the end, and you'll never see her again. But this game is kind of like a single player MMO, where you make your character, you choose your class, and you can like link up with other players and basically play through the whole story multiplayer. And it's so funny to me that the game that came after this, Dragon Quest X, was an actual MMO. It was like this was like the prototype to that. But what I really like about this game is the customizability. How you can pretty much craft any type of character you want. Because you get skill points as you level up for each class. And the skills you learn through with those skill points are permanent. So even if you switch classes, you can still use those skills. So you can really like build like the perfect character if you really wanted to. Um, and that's why I like this game so much. Also, it was my first Dragon Quest game, so it kind of has that special place in my heart. And the story is kind of like a fairy tale, but not as much. It's more like, yeah, no, it's like a fairy tale, but like not as magical as Dragon Quest V. Pikmin. Number 7, Pikmin. Pikmin is an awesome game. Um, and the reason why it's awesome, and I recognize that Pikmin 3 is probably objectively gameplay wise a better game. However, the absolute sense of wonder I got for playing Pikmin 1 for the first time, getting stranded on that alien planet, alien in quotations, but spoiler, um, discovering Pikmin for the first time, discovering all the different wildlife, exploring this unknown world. It was such a magical experience to me, and that absolute sense of wonder that I felt, I did not feel in Pikmin 3 because, well, this isn't my first time discovering the Pikmin. It's not my first time exploring this planet. It's not my first time observing all the different wildlife. And it's really a magical time. And the music, I think, kind of captures that feeling, where the title screen music is just like a bunch of ambient forest sounds that really, if you close your eyes and listen to it, it really feels like you're like in the middle of a forest or a jungle in the dead of night. um, and you can hear all the creatures bustling and making movements, making their sounds. You can hear the frogs in the trees, you can hear the birds uh, floating around, you can hear whatever. It's truly a magical experience, and it really makes you feel like you're discovering wildlife. You're discovering brand new creatures. Um, it creates a sense of wonder that I think modern games just don't have. Pikmin's really something special, and not for the gameplay, but for just the atmosphere and what it is, and racing against the clock to try to outrun your own death. It's such a good game, man. And in this game, I feel like the Pikmin, their lives matter. Where it's like, if one of them dies on my watch, I feel genuinely bad about it. Whereas in Pikmin 3, I'll just like chuck them all into the enemy and just like, some of you may die, but that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. No, I actually feel like, every Pikmin's life matters in this game, and that is a great feeling. Mega Man Battle Network 3, blue version. The version doesn't really matter. This came in blue version and white version. It doesn't matter. I had blue version. Um, I think there's like 5 exclusive. There's like 1 exclusive boss fight in each version. Its version does not matter. It's because there was a trade feature where you could trade your battle chips with other people. So there were some exclusive battle chips in blue, there were some exclusive battle chips in white, but ultimately it didn't matter. This game was like the coolest thing ever the first time I played it. Everything was connected onto the internet. You could send these little like digital people through it. You could battle viruses. This was actually my first Mega Man game. Battle Network was my introduction to Mega Man. And out of all the Battle Network games, this one I think has the best story. I honestly think it could have ended with this one, and that would have been a really satisfying ending. But yeah, everything just about it is just so cool. Going through the internet, the stopping cyber terrorist attacks. This Battle Network's really special to me. It's the best Mega Man. 8.5. Battle Network 6. Now, the version in this one does matter, because you'll fight either, for the final boss, either Falzar or Gregor. And I think Falzar is a cooler final boss because he has no ground. He just kind of flies wherever, and I think that kind of creates another level of challenge where you kind of have to like use eyeball it to see like where he is on the map, on the grid, because there's only a grid for your side, there's no grid for Falzar. So I think it creates an extra level of challenge, which is why I prefer Falzar. While I think Mega Man 3 had the best story, 6, I think, perfected the battle system to be as good as it could possibly be. 6 is the best battle system. An 8.8, Battle Network 5, Team Colonel. I consider this to be the canon version, because Barrel and Colonel are in Battle Network 6, that they play a pivotal role. But you wouldn't really know it, and it plays off the fact that like you already know who they are. But if you played the other version, Team Proto Man, you would have never met Barrel and Colonel, and so it really only makes sense to play this one, because you already know who Chad and Proto Man are, but you don't know Barrel and Colonel. And considering they play a really important role in Mega Man 6, this is the canon one. And the reason why I put it in the 8.8 slot is because of the liberation missions. If the liberation missions were so cool, if this game was just all liberation missions, like that was the whole game, this would be number one. Maybe even better than Pokemon Moon, because the liberation missions is the only reason why it's up here. It's that the liberation missions are that good. Number 9, the best Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings. This is an RTS with RPG elements. Biggest selections of summons in any Final Fantasy game, because those are your soldiers, your main like infantry. Your main party members are like the captains, your major commander units, and your smaller like infantry units are your summons. And Final Fantasy, this game, is part of the Ivalice collection of games, which all share the same lore. That is my favorite lore in anything ever. And again, not just games, movies, books, the whole shebang. That is the best lore. Um, and this is the best version of that lore. I think because it's the best game, it's the best Ivalice game, and it's the best Final Fantasy game. It's just I play this game so much that I feel like I cannot get any more enjoyment out of it because I've played it to death. Um, that's just how good this game was. I destroyed it. um, I love this game. I would probably not play it again, even though sometimes I'm like, oh, I feel like playing this game. Um, but yeah, this is my favorite Final Fantasy. This is the best Final Fantasy, and my favorite lore in anything ever. Number 10, this one, the number 10 slot is what destroyed me. But ultimately, I gave it Sonic Colors because Sonic Colors is just really fun. You know, people will say like, oh, this game's good because this game's just fun. Okay, um, and that's really all I have to say about it. It's just a fun game, and it's my favorite Sonic game because it's just so fun. It's a fun game. I love it, and I think the Wisp abilities really are really interesting. The boost, the utilization of the boost is really nice. Um, I think this is not only the best of modern Sonic, I think this is the best of Sonic, period. And in 10.1, um, one thing I didn't like about Sonic Colors is that Sonic was the only playable character. Um, but in this game, we've got Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, and Amy. This, I think, Sonic Advance is the best game with multiple playable characters, which is why it's so very close at 10.1. Um, when I think of Sonic, I actually think of this game. Look at that guy giving you a thumbs up. What a guy he is. Also, Tails is best character. Sonic Advance 2, 10.9. Now you may notice there's an 8 decimal gap between this and that one, and that's because the only reason this is on here at all is because of that rabbit right there. Cream is an absolute monster in this game. And she's so much fun to play as. She is a terrifying eldritch god from another dimension. She turns the entire game into an absolute cakewalk, but like in a good way. She scares me. She's in my nightmares. And she's the reason why this game is on this list at all. Overall, game is not nearly as I thought it was not nearly as good as Sonic Advance 1. But Cream, man. Cream. Also, technically, since Cream is playable, so is her Chow. And she's the reason why she's a menace to society. That Chow is the reason why she's so OP. Who I've recently been informed his name is Cheese. I didn't know that. I thought he was just a chap. Honorable mentions. Pokemon Legends Arceus. This is a major contender for my favorite game ever, beating out even Moon. The only reason it's in honorable mentions is because I haven't finished it. So I can't really give my full judgment on it, because I haven't, haven't played the whole thing, so it's like there could be something that I haven't gotten into yet that I really don't like. You don't know. But so far, this could be my favorite game. I think Pokemon Moon would still be like my favorite traditional game, but as for my favorite Pokemon game, traditional Pokemon game, I mean, but as for my favorite Pokemon game and favorite game, period, this would be it. If it's still as good by the time, I finish it. Also, I really like this artwork. Also, this is the only Pokemon game where the Pokemon title is blue. And I like the color blue. Also, I really like this artwork. The game kind of just like, in the box art kind of just like cuts it off like right there. But the full thing really looks nice, with the like all these other random Pokemon that you wouldn't think that they would add in here, like Rhyhorn and Ralts. Bidoof I get, Lucario I get, Shinx I guess because it's Gen 4, Straptor I get, but Rhyhorn and Ralts, what? And you know what? I appreciate that. I love it when um, probably underutilized Pokemon kind of like get a spotlight like this. It's nice. Um, and this game, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, the Rescue Team games, and this includes the remake. I think there's some things in the remake that I don't like, but there's some things in the remake that I think is better than the original. So I put them kind of like on even ground. But the reason why this is here and not in the list is because it has a really good main game and a really bad post game. The main game's awesome. The post game is just like, you can skip it, bro. Just stop playing. Once you roll credits, and that's really disappointing because that's like the majority of the game, or like half of the entire game is just But until that point, the game's awesome. One of the best games ever. I was a Bulbasaur, and my partner was a Cyndaquil. What were you? What Pokemon are you? Bravely Default. This is the best Bravely Default game. Bravely Default is kind of what gave me the idea to have like a classic JRPG in an MMO form. It's not an MMO at all. It's just like, a modernized version, a modernized take on the classic JRPG of old, like the original Final Fantasy games. So it's a really weird idea to get that idea, weird game to get that idea from, but that's where I got it from. And I think it would be really cool. So this game, in a way, has shaped me has influenced me to the point where it shaped me into some kind of it's given me a goal of like what I want to do for my career, in a way. Also, it's just a really good game. It has great characters. Ringabel is Ringa great. He's Ringa rad. The class system really solid. The side quests are all interesting. But and the reason why it's here and not up there is because it has a really bad middle part. Like chapter chapter 1 to 4, awesome. Everything after that, except for the final chapter, total terror, total garbage. Um, so yeah, the first half of the game is awesome. Second half of the game, not great, except for the final chapter, which does make the slog of the second half worth it. But man, the first half was so good. Why did they have to do that? In this Wonderful 101, this is the reason why it was either this or Sonic Colors. This is the reason why number 10 was a painful decision, because I love this game. Everything in this game is hype. It's probably my favorite action game. It's creative. It's has fun and unique gameplay. The story's hilarious. And you do really ridiculous things like punching the moon. I don't think you actually punch the moon, but you do stuff to that degree. It's a good game. Alright, I had to take a quick break because I died. But I've got a bottle of water, so I'm ready to push through to the end of this. But yeah, this is a game that I want to go back and play some more. I just haven't found the time, because there are 101 playable characters, and I've only got like 82, so I gotta find the rest of them. So, now we have gone into the second top 10 list. Oh boy. What have I gotten myself into? Top 10 anime. Number 1. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. I think has one of the most interesting stories I've ever experienced. It's really good writing. There's so much foreshadowing. Everything is really thought out. But let me just get the whole thing in frame. Everything's really thought out. It's just really good. I don't like the original Fullmetal Alchemist, the original quote unquote, the 2003 anime, because after a while it kind of deviated at the request of the manga artist, and it got really bad. But Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood specifically is a direct adaptation of the manga, and it's really good. Probably one of the best stories ever. If Xenoblade was number 1, like with perfect works and the whole thing, this is a number 2. Absolutely. One of the most compelling stories ever. Number 2, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure: Diamond is Unbreakable. And this is probably, like Persona 4, this is murder mystery. And the reason I put, I like all the parts of JoJo, but the reason why I put part 4 specifically, Diamond is Unbreakable, is because it's just that good. It has a great cast of characters. Some of them I wish got more screen time. Like Yukaku, just when I started to like her, she disappears. I hated her for so long, and just when I was like, you know what, she's not so bad, she's gone. Yeah, JoJo tells a really interesting story about how one thing can cause a chain reaction that never that curses a whole family and never an entire bloodline and never stops. And I think the best of that is part 4, because it's just so good. It's a league above its own. It probably has the most compelling villain ever with Yoshikage Kira. Um, it it puts you in his mindset, kind of, and makes you see the world the way he sees it and really understand him and really understand the way that he views the world and how much of a terrible person he is. And I think that's really what sets it apart from all the rest. It's really good. And I am doing I am doing what I said I didn't want to do, the bullet points. But my voice, I have to do it if I'm going to survive this. Number 3, Gurren Lagann. Gurren Lagann's really important to me. I watched it around the same time that I played Earthbound, so it is of equal importance to me. But I'll save that for a later date. And instead, I'm just gonna have it speak for itself. This is also the only video I have in this entire list because I found out Google Docs does not do video embeds, so this is the only time I'm ever going to do this. So this is my favorite scene in the series, and it's a Nintendo Switch and I'll go and I'll add a link to why this is but for now, I'll just let it speak for itself. And I'll go into a later date why that's my favorite scene, and why it means so much to me. But that's for another time. But with the context clues I've dropped so far, I think you can figure it out. Also, shout out to Cosplay Time Capsule for making that video to put in this video, I guess. Open preview. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. I should have just done that. Number 4, Space Dandy. Space Dandy is hilarious. I love Space Dandy. Space Dandy also has some really serious episodes that are rival even the likes of Cowboy Bebop with how emotionally compelling they are. Space Dandy's good, except for the Lonely Pooch Planet. I can't ever watch that episode again. I won't ever watch that episode. Every time I rewatch the series, I skip that one. I can't do it. It's way too sad. But other than that, this is a great series. I really recommend it. Stay dandy, baby. The best way I can describe that is the series, like give a quick synopsis, is his name is Space Dandy. He's a dandy guy in space. He combs the galaxy like his pompadour, on the hunt for aliens. Planet after planet he searches, discovering bizarre new creatures, both friendly and not. These are the spectacular space adventures of Space Dandy and his space crew. In space. No, I was not reading anything. That was straight from memory. Number 5, Konosuba. Konosuba is basically a parody of Sword Art Online. This first came out when the whole isekai genre was like in its peak of popularity. Um, and this is a parody of that. It's basically details just how much it would suck to actually live in a video game world. Um, and as someone with major OCD, having to sleep in a horse stable because you can't afford a room at an inn really would really put me over the edge. Um, God, this series is hilarious. The characters are all lovable. Darkness is best girl. Um, I think one person described the characters perfectly. They are the best worst girls. Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop. You're gonna hear me say this a lot today, but Cowboy Bebop brought me the tears. I think my favorite character is Mai, just because of how much of a horrible person she is, and how much of a good person she becomes. She really goes through some good character development. But my favorite episode is the one with the mushrooms. That one is top tier. Um, but yeah, it's a really good series about how the past has a way of catching up with you, how even though how much you really want something, it's better to just move on than to hurt yourself trying to go back and get it back. Um, it's kind of like an opposite side of the spectrum, whereas Gurren Lagann kind of shows that you can move on after suffering loss. Cowboy Bebop kind of shows you what happens if you don't move on. And the result is heartbreaking. And on a less depressing note, Lupin the Third. Lupin the Third. I love this series. It's based on the stories of Arsène Lupin by LeBlanc. Um, it's a lot of fun, you know. Lupin, he goes and steals something. Zenigata tries to arrest him. He gets away, and everyone has a good laugh. Um, there are some really serious emotional episodes. There are some really silly episodes. It's just a great series all around. I love Lupin. Fooly Cooly. Fooly Cooly is the opposite of Earthbound. It's a coming of age story, but whereas Earthbound has an overarching theme of love, Fooly Cooly has an overarching theme of, I don't know, what of the opposite of love? Um, false love. Um, and I won't say any more than that because I have been told if I tell you anything about the series, it's a spoiler. Um, it's better that you just go into it. The series is hilarious. There's a lot of deep meaning. You really have to be paying attention, otherwise you'll miss it. Um, but if you actually pay attention, it's an incredible story. And the music's really good too. Chobits. Chobits. It's one of the first animes I ever watched, and it still holds up to this day. It's just really good. It's funny. There's a lot of, there's really touching romance things. There's kind of a plot twist that I really didn't like, um, but overall it's good. Um, I really like Chobits. Chobits is a timeless classic. My Bride is a Mermaid is hilarious. The characters are all lovable. Um, it's basically the Little Mermaid, um, except she's in the mafia. uh, it's a crazy series. You really gotta see it. It's great. I would describe it as a crime romance, if that makes it any sense. It's a comedy series. It's funny. I like it. It's a good series, man. Honorable mentions Pokemon. Uh, I've talked before about how important Ash is to me, um, and how much of an inspiration and motivation he is as a character, so as someone who doesn't always win, but someone who never gives up. And of course, that video was butchered to hell and back because uh, ShowPro has claimed so many things. My use of the Pokemon anime as a backdrop for that video was not appreciated by them, so I had to cut out a lot of it to prevent it from being blocked worldwide, which basically resulted in that video being just a bunch of pointless ramblings that go nowhere because there's no context to anything. How great is that? But the reason why this is in honorable mentions and not on the actual list is because it has a lot of good filler, but also has a lot of really bad filler, like the entirety of Gen 5. So for that, it gets an honorable mention. Great series, held back by Gen 5. I mean, it has. Don't get me wrong, it's got good filler episodes, like that one where Team Rocket does like a bunch of robberies and leaves behind bottle caps, and James, he's obsessed with collecting bottle caps. Um, and Missy's like, "What? It's just bottle caps?" And you hear James in the distance, "What do you mean, just bottle caps?" Oh, that's a good episode. So, it has good filler episodes. Wonder Egg Priority. This is an incredible series. I'm not going to tell you anything about it because it's best experience knowing nothing about it. But the four main characters, I love them all. It brought me to tears watching this. Right here is the main character, Ioto. You basically watch her grow up, and it feels like watching your own daughter grow up. And it was like, it brought me into tears. I was so proud of her. I felt so much for her. I I love I love these four characters so much, and it was so good, except for the last episode, which made me feel empty and sad, and it just felt like it threw away everything that it built up upon, and it just kind of felt like that's not the end. It can't be the end. It felt like an intermission episode. Like, everything goes bad for the main characters, but then, you know, it felt like it was setting up for season 2 where they're gonna make everything right. So it really needs a season 2. Wonder Egg Priority is the hill I'm willing to die on. Because let me tell you this, if this gets a season 2 and it's as good as the first season was, minus the last episode, this could possibly be up there with like Gurren Lagann and Cowboy Bebop as one of the greatest anime of all time. This is the hill I'm willing to die on. Wonder A Priority is rad, except for the last episode. Give this thing a second season. This is the hill I will die on. And as this is something I watched last month, Komi-san, I've talked about this. I talked about this in a previous video, but as someone with social anxiety, I felt this really strike a chord with me. I was never as extreme as Komi-san, but I felt her pain very, very, very deeply. And it's just a good series. It's funny. It's just really sweet. Komi herself is adorable. And it's just like it says, it's dedicated to everyone who's ever felt a tightness in their chest when trying to talk to someone. And that fits me to a T. I love Komi-san. And the reason why it's here and not in the top 10 is honestly because I couldn't find a place to fit it in. I love it, but my top 10 is just so good already. What would I take out? None of it. Everything deserves to be here. So that's why it gets an honorable mention. That's why honorable mentions exist. To say, it didn't make the cut, but this one is still really good. Space Patrol Luluco, same thing. I love this series. For some reason, I feel it's more recent. It was like 2019 or 2018, but I feel a sense of nostalgia when I rewatch it. It's hilarious. It's balls to the walls insanity. Each episode is like 5 minutes long. It's a mini series, but so much happens in it. It's great, and the humor's top tier. I won't spoil my favorite joke, but I'd love to tell you why it's my favorite joke. This is a good series. Cardcaptor Sakura. I'm watching this right now, and I really like it. One of the most recent episodes that I just watched, I think it was like episode 14 or 15 or 16. It was the one with the old man. It brought me to tears. Oh my god. This is such a good series. The characters are lovable. The animation is beautiful. The designs for the Clo cards are really cute. I love everything about Cardcaptor Sakura. Little Witch Academia, like Komi-san, this one really struck a chord with me because it's about a girl with no talent trying to become a witch, of which something she has no aptitude for, which really strikes a chord for me because that's how I feel in just about everything I do, that I'm just not good at it. I have no talent, but it's about, her rising above the fact that she's not gifted and everyone else is good for better than her, and that she has to try, 3 times as harder as everyone else just to get a passing grade. and that really struck a chord with me. Also, it's a really fun series. The animation is great. The characters are lovable. Um, there's an episode that's just a big Gurren Lagann parody. It's great. They fight a dragon. Um, the reason why it's in the honorable mentions is for same reason as before. I just don't know where I'd put it in, but it is still really good. And also because there are two OVAs um, that you should totally watch before the series. It's like it goes OVA 1, OVA 2, The Enchanted Parade, and then Little Witch Academia. Otherwise, you'll kind of be like scratching your head. And finally, we have Digimon Adventure. You know what? Something really cool about Digimon Adventure is that it's a direct adaptation of the Digimon Tamagotchi spin-off. So every Digimon that appears in this series was actually one you could like take care of in the Tamagotchi. Even the villains. There was I believe it was called Zurumon, the Zurumon model. Yes, this guy. Zurumon is like the most underrated Digimon because he evolves in. He's one of the original Digimon, one of the original Digimonster version 5 um, Tamagotchi spin-offs, and he evolves into all the villains. Um, this is like your dark your dark side route. Um, but he's kind of been replaced by Kunimon, I want to say. Kurimon? No. Kunimon? Kunimon? No. Tsuchimon? Oh my god, this is gonna bother me. I feel like it's Kunimon, but it's not. I know what he evolves into. He evolves into Impmon, so we'll just go back. Yaman? Keymon? Well, maybe he doesn't evolve into Impmon. He does in Cyber Sleuth. Diaboromon. Okay. We're going back to Infermon. And we're going back to Chrysalimon. We're going back to Karamon. Here we go. Sumemon. Kuramon. That was it. In modern day Digimon, Zurumon has been basically, ever since our war game, been replaced with Kuramon, which I think is a shame because Zurumon, he's an OG. Anyway, Digimon Adventure, the original one, I mean, tells a really good story, but you have to watch it in Japanese. If you watch it in English, you'll get something that's, I guess, if you want to laugh, for some, maybe when you're like drunk. But if you want an actual good story, you have to watch the Japanese version, because the English version takes a lot of liberties and basically makes it not good. But the original is a really good story with religious themes, moments that feel like true miracles of God. It's a great it's a great series. In fact, let me show you just how different the dub is to the Japanese version. Let's see. Angel, this is my favorite scene. Versus Devimon. Dub versus sub. Let's... Okay. Shout out to Fefanoff for providing this video. This is my favorite scene in the series, and you can just see how the English
Customize and save with Liberty Mutual. Take 96.
Liberty Bibbity.
Cut!
I don't know which one this is.
Like a boss.
Boss. Oh yes, what a
Boss.
Inspired by boss. Be a boss.
そんなみんな全然歯が立たないなんて。
最も小さき選ばれし子供よ。お前さえいなくなれば、もう恐れるものはないのだ。デスクロン。逃げろ、タケル。くたばり損ないどもが。
すまない大地。元の世界に戻してあげたかったけど、もう
力が。
くっそー。みんな
タケル。
進化した？エンジェモン？
デジモンなのか？
まるで天使。頭が進化した。
お前、もう少しだったのに。
お前の暗黒の力消し去ってくれる。我が元に集まれ、聖なる力よ。
何をする気だ。
ゴマモン。
やめろ。そんなことをすればお前もただでは済まんぞ。
こうするしかないのだ。たとえ我が身がどうなろうと。デミモン、お前の暗黒の力は大きくなりすぎた。この世界から消し去らねばならん。さすがよ。しまった。すまない、タケル。
潰れてしまえ。愚かな。 愚かだぞエンジェモン。こんなところで力を使い果たしてどうする。暗黒の力が広がっているのはこのパイル島だけではない。海の向こうには私以上に強力な暗黒の力を持ったデジモンも存在するのだぞ。おしまいだよ、お前たちは。
でも
きっとまた会える。君が望むなら。
And now...
Oh boy, there's nobody left. What do we do, Patamon?
Now to get rid of you, then I'll have nothing to fear. They say the smallest will destroy me. And I'm not going to let that happen. Don't move. Make it easy on both of us.
TK, run!
You seem to forget. I am Devimon, Supreme Master of this island. I have power over all Digimons. No one can bother me. Whoa, that guy knows how to take it out of you.
I can't move. Even my needles feel numb.
Now is probably not a good time to take a nap.
This is bad.
You will be mine.
Hey, get ready to run.
What do I do? TK's in danger. I've got to protect him. I don't understand it. It isn't working. Oh, why can't I Digivolve? Patamon, help! I'll save you, TK!
Hang on, pal.
What?
It's Patamon. He must be Digivolving. Come on, Digivolve too!
Angemon!
Hey, Patamon finally Digivolved.
That's super cool!
Not bad. That little guy really had it in him.
Nice hair. Good color. I want to take him home with me.
What's this? Another foolish attempt?
The forces of good are more powerful. Even you can't stop us. I'll destroy you and bring peace to the island.
That light is so bright! What are you doing to me? Stop it! I'm not going to allow you to take my power away. You'll have to fight me.
I'm afraid I have no other choice. If I can help others, my fate is unimportant.
Angemon!
Your powers have gotten far out of control and must be extinguished. I am ready to fight for peace.
Now you've done it.
Be careful!
I'll get him. Relax.
Come here, pretty boy.
I'll stop you.
You have used up all your power. That wasn't very smart, Angemon. Now you are no use to anyone. You can't get away from the dark forces. Evil is everywhere, so don't savor your victory. There are other Digimon that are just as powerful as I am. Some of them are even stronger. I wonder what you'll do when you run into them. You haven't won it all. What a waste of time!
Angemon! Ah!
TK, I'll come back again, if you want me to.
Angemon! Ah!
TK, I'll come back again, if you want me to.
Ever since I was a child, I felt like greatness was in store for me.
In the Japanese, it was like a moment of real desperation, and what turned around felt like a real miracle of God, whereas the English dub was just pure camp, although I did like Devimon's voice. Also, Ogremon, best character. Now for the top 10 that absolutely demolished me. Top 10 waifus. I thought this one would be easy. I thought this would be a no-brainer. But this absolutely destroyed me. How can I pick just 10 when there are so many good waifus in this world? And here's the thing. In the games, I limited the honorable mentions to 4 because, otherwise I would have put Chrono Trigger, Soul Hackers, Monster Hunter Stories, Kid Icarus Uprising, so many other games. It would never end. Right? So, and for anime, I would have added in, like, Uzaki-chan, Demon Slayer, My Hero Academia, Canon. That would never end either. So I limited myself to, I think it was 6 or 7 for anime and 4 for games. For this one, I limited myself to 6 for the honorable mentions. So yeah, there are honorable mentions, but there are just so many. How could I pick? This was the hardest one to do. I can't handle all these waifus in my life. So number 1, Kawakami. I hated myself for falling in love with this woman. She's funny, she's just really great, man. She's realistic. She really feels like a real person. She's just really great, man. I really like her. She's really down to earth. She's just tired and overworked and depressed, and I just want to hug her and give her all the head pats. And Kawakami's great, guys. Out of all the girls, she is best girl, and I love her. 1.1, Chie Satonaka. She's a tomboy. She's the most powerful Persona character in not just Persona, but Shin Megami Tensei 2, because she has Galactic Punt. I actually want to do, like, a modded Persona 4 run that, like, turns Galactic Punt into a normal ability, so I can just, like, spam that. I think that would be really funny, and really fun. Also, she's got a 6-pack under that sweatshirt. We all know it. Makoto Nijima. Kawakami might be best girl in Persona 5, but out of the playable cast, Makoto Nijima is best girl. She's smart. She's adorable. She hides behind a upside down notebook when she tries to stalk you. Um, she's a really good martial artist. I want her to step on me, and she can kick my ass. Yumi Ozawa. Okay, so this one, 1.3. Yumi Ozawa. So this one might be a really weird choice, because, you know, a lot of people see her massive forehead and just kind of go, nah. But for me, she's really important to me because she showed me that it's okay to not be okay. That you don't have to hide behind a mask and pretend that everything's hunky-dory all the time. That it's okay to show that you're not doing alright. That it's that life kind of sucks sometimes and you don't always have to smile. So Yumi was really important to me. Also, she was my first girlfriend in Persona 4. And you know what they say, first girl is best girl. So yeah, Yumi, you know, everyone sees that massive forehead. You know, she's not very popular. This was the nicest piece of fan art I could find for her. It's not even in color. But I really like her. She's really nice. She's really cute. And she taught me a really valuable lesson. 1.4. Yes. Don't worry, I didn't cram these all up to 1.9. I guess is great. She goes from being a robot to kind of forming her own personality. She is a robot, but she goes from kind of having no personality to forming her own personality. You know, that's her character development. And she's just really nice. She's funny. She says stuff like "Hasta la vista." She makes jokes about the fact that she's a robot. She has a Gatling gun. Um, I guess it's just great. Also, because she's a robot, she's also like freakishly strong, and that's pretty hot. 1.5 Yukiko Amagi. Some people think Yukiko is boring. I don't. I find her really endearing. I find her funny. I really like how she tries to solve all her problems with cold-blooded murder. Yukiko's just a fun gal to be around. I like Yukiko. She is simple. You know, she's the stereotypical pretty girl. But you know what? Vanilla is a great flavor. Number 2, Rinka. Rinka has abs, and that's hot. But that's not all she is. She's also has, you know, she has a really shy personality. She doesn't like to talk to people, and I really like that. I find that really cute. She has like the sole support with like Kaze is that, you know, he knows she likes sweets, but she wants to keep her tough exterior, so she doesn't want to admit it, so she blames eating the whole bag of sweets on a mouse. And it's just really cute. I like Rinka. She's the perfect example of someone who's an asshole at first, but you know, ironically, after you warm their frozen heart, she's great. Also, a lot of people say she's not a good unit in battle. That I disagree. You're just not using her right. Her offense stats are low, yes, but she has really high defense and really high speed, basically meaning she can take hits and she has enough speed not to get doubled up on. So she can. You're supposed to use her as a physical wall. She's a speedy tank. That's what she does. So, and if you upgrade her to Oni Chieftain, she gets Death Blow. And if you use Death Blow with the Great Club, she gets a 75% chance critical hit rate to start out with. And that more than makes up for her lack of offense. You play your cards right with her, and she becomes a beast. Don't sleep on Rinka. She's not as bad as you think she is. She can be really good if you play your cards right, so just play your damn cards right. 2.2, Lissa. In Fire Emblem Awakening, there were other waifus that caught my eye, more than Lissa, like Lucina, Cordelia, Sayri, and Tiki. But I just kind of like let it play out. Just, I married whoever I ended up supporting with the most, and that ended up being Lissa. Do I regret it? Absolutely not. Lissa's really cute. She's really nice. She has a really fun, playful, kind of like prankster vibe to her. And I really think her chemistry with Robin is hilarious. And her son is one of the best characters in the game. And as the bloodline goes down from Owain to Ophelia, it gets even more off the wall and ridiculous. And I love her and her whole family. She's great. Although I would not enjoy her putting a frog down my shirt. That would aggravate my OCD, which is why Rinka is higher than her. 2.5. I can never tell if it's supposed to be pronounced dagger or dogger. But dogger is basically my example of the perfect woman. She's tall. I think she is canonically a giant. I think she's like 8 feet tall and still growing. She's got an awesome six-pack. And she's no slouch in the round department. And she's a tomboy, which I love. I love someone who can just joke around and just be like, just be one of the guys. As cliche as that sounds, tomboys are a good archetype. But the reason why she's lower than Rinka, Lissa, and Kawakami is because she's exclusive to a mobile game, and as such, she doesn't have a whole lot of depth to her. So that kind of inhibits her, is that there's not as much to love about her as there is with Lissa and Rinka. So that's why she's in 2.5. Fjorm. Fjorm is nice. I like Fjorm. I think she's really beautiful with the blue accents in her blonde hair. And I just think she's really cute, man. That's why she's number 2.8. Number 3, Lily. Lily made me bawl like a baby. Lily is part of the reason why I love Pokemon Moon as much as I do as my favorite game. Lily made me feel things, man. She's so great. Lily's great, man. 3.2 B. You know, she's a tomboy. She canonically has a six-pack. I mean, look at her. She could decapitate me, and I'd say thank you. Arizu, she is my 3.3 Arizu. She is my newest obsession. Her red hair is beautiful. She's really gung-ho. She's really energetic. She's just a lot of fun. I like her. She's adorable. She's adorable. Also, you can see a little bit of her ass cheek poking out from her shorts, which does officially make her the most sexualized Pokemon character. Pokemon characters in general have Pokemon. You wouldn't think it, but Pokemon has a really good waifu game. Basically, name any Pokemon character, and they're probably a really good waifu. 3.4 Sabrina. Sabrina gave me an awakening as a kid. She made me feel things. She made me realize exactly what kind of kink I had. Yeah, Sabrina's good. She's a little scary, but that kind of fits into it. And one of the members of Game Freak went on record to say she's cute, so it is objective. 3.6 Chris. This is my favorite player character in the game, in Pokemon. I think she's really cool with her blue hair. I like how it kind of like loops around stiffly. I was really disappointed when Lyra existed in Heart Gold and Soul Silver and not her. And also, I have a really fond memories of her because of the time I got to spend with my mom with her. She makes me happy. 3.8 Cheryl. Cheryl has a really dreamy look to her. She really looks like something that stepped right out of a storybook, with her beautiful green braid, her beautiful green eyes, her beautiful dress. Also, her episode in Pokemon, I think Generations was my favorite, because it was like a horror. It was like a horror movie. Cheryl's great. I was tempted to put Cynthia here because, I mean, come on, it's Cynthia. But I figured that would be too obvious. So Cheryl, you heard it here first. Cheryl is better than Cynthia. And of course, you know, like I said, Pokemon has really good waifu games. So Skyla, Elisa, so many others. Claire, Lorelei. We would just be here forever. It would never end. 4. Morgiana. Morgiana is short. She's like 4.5 feet tall. But she's freakishly strong. And everything she does is amazing, and I love her, and she can do no wrong. Also, she's adorable, and she pouts a lot, and it's really cute, and I really like her. Also, please step on me. Tifa. Tifa is an instant classic. She's tough. She does not canonically have a six-pack, but she really should, because she is canonically super strong. She's sporty. Despite her appearance, she's actually very shy. I like Tifa. A lot of people think she's number 1, and she has withstood the test of time, and she's still number 1 in a lot of people. And for me, she's number 5, but definitely in the top 5. Tifa's great, man. There's a reason why she's everyone's favorite, and it's a good reason. You might even say there's two of them. But number 6 is Pyra. And her 2 reasons are actually not why I really like her. She's funny, she's really sweet, she's really nice. I feel kind of bad, if you know the story. She's basically an idealized version of Mithra, created because Mithra hated herself. So it makes me feel bad when I say I like Pyra better, because Pyra's just nicer. And she's the only, when people say that someone is thick, she's the only one that I would say actually fits that description most of the time, because look at those thighs. Look at that midriff. Notice how she's not a fucking twig. She's great. I really like her. She's a very complex character, which I cannot go into detail why, because I want you to play Xenoblade 2, and I don't want to spoil that for you. 6.4, Adenine. Adenine's adorable. She's this big nerd. It always cracks me up how she says she wants to gain knowledge through methods other than books. But for most of her quest line, she ends up gaining knowledge through books. Adenine is my Beyblade. She was my first rare blade. And to this day, she remained my favorite all the way through the end. She's awesome. She does a lot of damage. She's really cute. Her green eyes are beautiful. Her green hair is beautiful. And she's just a silly nerd, and I love her. 6.8, Murderous. Now, I was tempted to put Hope here from Xenoblade X. Because I liked Hope so much, even though she was the weakest playable character. I liked her so much I took her into the final battle, into the final boss in Xenoblade X, and I even took her into the fight against Telethia. I killed Telethia with her. That's how much I liked Hope. But Murderous starts out, the game even says she's a jerk, and I agreed. I hated Murderous. But after, going through her quest line, seeing her, after her character development, I ended up loving her, and I guess I fell in love with her. So, picking best girl out of Xenoblade X, Hope was a really strong contender, Alexa was a really strong contender, but I ended up going with Murderous. She's really good. And I wouldn't mind marrying her. And number 7 is Speedwagon. I found this really, really nice piece of fan art with where he's in the Sailor Moon style, where he's like tuxedo mask, best waifu, Speedwagon, best girl. He's great. Oh, by the way, that reminds me. There's a lot of fan art in the waifu section, obviously. So like, if you guys want the sauce, I'll give you guys the sauce. But otherwise, I don't think it's worth it. No one's gonna watch this video anyway. But yeah, if you ask for the sauce, I'll give you a sauce. Otherwise, that's a lot of effort for, not really anything that I think, I'm just not gonna bother. But man, Speedwagon's great. I love this guy. Imagine having your own personal hype man. That's Speedwagon. And Speedwagon's great. I really like how he has Hamon, because, Zeppeli punched him in the stomach to change his breathing, but he never learns how to use it, so he never uses it. And I don't know, that's always been like really funny to me. And 7.0000001 is Jolene Cujo. She's cute, she's funny, she's strong, both inside and out. She definitely has a six-pack. And she's really pretty. I thought about I keep calling her Hermes Hernandez, but Hermes Costello. I think it's because Hermes, it's like Hermes, and that goes into Hernandez. I thought about that, but then I realized, because Hermes, she's kind of a tomboy. She's she's very muscular. She's checks all my boxes, and then I remembered Jolene is actually innocent, whereas Hermes willingly committed a robbery, and heck, she'll do it again. So I gave it to Jolene, because Jolene is Hermes, but better. I need another water. Second water obtained. Alright, where were we? 7.5, Rami Sugimoto. She's adorable. I didn't get any fan art for her. Instead, I took 2 screen caps because I really need you to see just how adorable she is. Look at that. Precious. I want to protect. Mocha Akashiya. This was one of the first anime I watched from start to finish. In fact, I think it was the first finished anime I watched from start to finish in middle school. People say that Xenoblade 2 had a power move by putting 2 waifus in one. Well, Rosaria Vampire did it first, and she has super strength, which is hot. But I've always been kind of a big fan of Mizure Shirayuki. I liked Mizure so much that in middle school I actually tried to model myself after her. Which, considering that she's a stalker, is kind of a yikes. But, oh yeah, something about, you could say that Mocha, for me, is the original waifu. But Mizure is pretty good. Pretty great, too. Number 9, Jade. Now, I did say Bianca is best girl. And I do like her better than Jade. But Bianca's kind of a hick. And I find the country accent to be really annoying, so that's kind of a deal breaker. But everything else about her is great. Jade, on the other hand, she has a gentle personality. She has a nurturing nature. Also, she's an accomplished martial artist, and she can kick your ass, and that's pretty hot. Remember the words of Spike Spiegel. I love a woman who can kick my ass. Jade has everything I look for in a woman. She is perfect. Hana Uzaki. Hana Uzaki is the perfect example of why looks don't matter. Appearance-wise, she does nothing for me. But it's what's on the inside that counts. Well, appearance-wise, she does nothing for me, other than the Sugoi Dekai. Because of course. But Uzaki is the type of friend I wish I had, where she pulls you out of your comfort zone and gets you to try something new. She is the perfect companion for someone who is who has social anxiety, someone like me who's really shy, someone who is kind of a loner. And if I ever met someone like Hana, I would never let her go. And hopefully she feels the same way about me, because on the inside, she's perfect. I love everything about her. 10.2, Marin Kitagawa. Same reason for Uzaki. I love everything about her. She's funny. She's really down to earth, and she's just a great person. She's got a big heart. She's just perfect. I love everything about her. Oh, typo. Ruka Sarashina. Ruka has terrible taste, because she's going after Kazuya. However, I want to protect her. She's so sweet, and she deserves so much better than Kazuya, and I want to take care of her. I want to give her head pats. I want to protect her from her arrhythmic heart. I want and she's so cute. Ruka's good. Ruka's good, but fuck Mommy-chan. All my homies hate Mommy-chan. Honorable mentions: Captain Mizuki, Mount Lady. Now I'm gonna zoom out for a bit because I gotta talk about these two at the same time. Because what I have to say about them applies to both of them. Okay, so both of these are, for all intents and purposes, my ideal woman. They're both very tall. Captain Mizuki's like 6.5 feet tall. Mount Lady's not very muscular, but she's 67 feet tall, and that kind of evens out. She's very strong. Mount Lady has really good character development. She starts out as kind of an asshole, but along the course of the series, she becomes more pure-hearted. And Captain Mizuki is a tomboy, and that's pretty good. So, in theory, these two would both be my perfect woman. The problem is they both have very little screen time, so there's not a whole lot of them to enjoy. Give them more screen time, you cowards. And that's why they're in honorable mention and not in the list proper, because I love them. I just wish there was more of them. Palutena. Palutena is a literal god. And as part of a literal god, she can change her appearance to take any physical form. It doesn't matter what you're into. She got you covered. Also, she's funny. She has a good sense of humor. She's very nurturing. She's very caring. She has a little bit of a prankster. She's playful. And the reason why she's in honorable mentions, just because she can take any physical form doesn't mean she will. And I kind of feel like she wouldn't be into that. And also, she tends to make jokes at your expense, and that would hurt my little feelings. But in theory, she's the perfect woman. She's a literal goddess. Zelda, and this one's in the honorable mentions because I specifically mean the Smash Ultimate version of Zelda. Look at her. Look at her. Look at her strike that pose. She's adorable. She's adorable. I look at her. Look at her. Look at her. She's so fucking cute. But of course, because we're specifically talking about one version of Zelda, that's why she's in the honorable mentions. But look at her. Look at how adorable and perfect she is. Zinnia. Zinnia, I am a closet, well, I guess not anymore, a closet Zinnia fanatic. I mean, she's great. She's got great feet. You know how that's important. She's strong inside and out. She's a bit of a wild child, which is she has a dangerous air to her, which is very alluring. But the reason why she's in honorable mentions, I feel like she'd be a good one night stand, like someone to just kind of hang out, but not really someone you'd want to spend your life with. I feel like she'd be a great girlfriend, but not a great wife. That's what I think. Also, she's fucking hot. She's the type of girl you would want her to delete you, but not one you'd want to spend a meaningful life with. But holy shit, please step on me. And also Maiku Nanako. She's adorable. Look at the way she pouts. I've never seen Quintessential Quintuplets, but I want to because of her. Because I've seen clips of her online, and she's just so adorable and perfect, and the only reason she's in the honorable mentions is because I've actually never seen her series. So, I don't really know her all that well. But from what I have seen of her, she's perfect. Oh my god, she's adorable. And of course, those are all the honorable mentions. Of course, there's a million other ones that could be here, like Chun-Li and Falk, who I had a minor obsession with when my friend showed her to me. But we'd be here for forever. There's, Darkness. There's, what else? Oh my god, Samus. I completely forgot about Samus. She's awesome. There's basically a million that there could be, but we'd be here forever, so I just, put down, of course, the ones I think of first are the ones that are most important. Now, you may notice, I did talk about basically what's my type. And of course, here we have, I put a little joke segment, not on the list, out of respect for Brock, and we have Nurse Joy and Officer Jenny, who are both bangers, but, we're not gonna we're not gonna make the moves on her, man. Move in on our bros, the girls that our bro likes, Lucy. Also, the reason why I hate Max in the Pokemon anime, because she was into Brock. and he could have had something nice, and he had to go and ruin it. And of course, Olivia, who Brock actually does end up with. He finally did it. I'm so proud of him. Elizabeth, who is one of the rare examples who actually like Brock. Autumn, again, rare example of a girl who actually likes Brock. And Susie, you know, that one chick that Brock gave Revolvix to. Look at him in his tux. That's the real reason I put her here. I mean, look at that. That's a brilliant picture. But yeah, I mean, there's a million other wife. There's Homura from Eden Zero. Eden Zero, by the way, is really good. I thought it would be terrible because of how much Fairy Tail went downhill, and you know, it's the same writer and artist. But Eden Zero is really good. Holy shit! It's like way better than it has any right to be. So yeah, you know, Eden Zero, really good. Of course, there's a million Pokemon waifus to put down. I like the player character from Sun and Moon. I think they have a good design. Of course, you know, I talked about, Sailor Jupiter. She's a big one. You know, Hope and Alexa from Xenoblade X. Nia's a big one from Xenoblade X, and Melia too. Marie from Splatoon, but we just go on forever and ever and ever, so those are the first 10 I thought of, so there you go. Of course, I limited myself to 6 for the honorable mentions for that, because we'd just be here forever. Books. Top 10 books. Let me fix that. Number 1, Dragon Ball. This is, if I had to say my favorite non-game story, it would be Dragon Ball. Volume 1 is my favorite because of just how imaginative it is. It's hilarious, there's good action. Goku's one of my favorite characters because of just how funny and simple he is, and I love Dragon Ball. And the reason why it's not in my top 10 anime and it's my top 10 books is because the manga is so much better. Like, I couldn't believe, when I read it for the first time, I couldn't believe what I was missing out on. Like, I could have been reading this instead of watching a million episodes of filler. The book's funnier, the pacing's better. You know, sometimes the anime just feels like it drags on and on and on. The manga doesn't. The manga is to the point. It's good. It's good. Please read the manga. You won't regret it. Number 2, The Hobbit. This, the greatest fantasy epic of our time, and I agree. The Hobbit is basically a fairy tale in our time. It's a wonderful story. You know, and it's before the Lord of the Rings complicated everything. But it's just great, you know, Bilbo Baggins, he goes on an adventure to help the dwarves because Gandalf told him to, and he gets a magic ring that lets him go invisible. It's really nice. It's a lovely story. Just like how Cardcaptor Sakura has been a lovely time. Rosario Vampire, the anime sucks. Except for Season 1. Season 2 sucks. The book, on the other hand, the manga is incredible. Definitely read it. It tells an actual story, instead of just being harem, ecchi nonsense. Really compelling story. Actually brought me to tears a little bit towards the end. Has a really satisfying ending. It's a good story. Yu-Gi-Oh! Basically, you're gonna I'm trying to think of how to word this. Both versions are good, but for different reasons. Um, the anime is good for memes and campiness, but it's unlike Digimon, it's actually enjoyable. Um, the manga is good because it's more of a darker, it takes a darker tone, a serious tone, and there's more than just card games. Um, Yu-Gi-Oh means king of games, not king of cards. Um, basically, every chapter is, you know, Yugi plays a game with someone. Um, someone's being an asshole. Uh, so Yugi challenges them to a game of their choice. The Pharaoh takes over, puts a curse on them, and when they lose, he kills them. It's pretty dark, but it's pretty hardcore, and it's good. Basically, anime for fun, manga for hardcore serious time. Bone, out from Boneville. The first book in the series is the best one, in my opinion. It's funny. It's a great fantasy epic, and also Thorn can get it. One Punch Man. So I didn't like the One Punch Man anime. But one of my friends said, read the manga. And I'm just like, okay, if it'll get you to shut up. So I did, and I ended up really liking the manga, and I think I know why. So in the manga, basically the whole joke is that everyone is super serious, and everyone looks awesome and cool and amazing. And then you have the main character who looks like, you can see him in the back of the picture I chose for this, the cover of Volume 4. He just looks super goofy, and he beats the villain in one punch. And it's basically like a joke manga. You know, villain shows up, he's super evil, he beats, everyone, he kills like a million people, the heroes try to beat him, they lose, and then this guy just shows up, punches him once, and like goes out to eat sushi or whatever. Um, and but the anime doesn't really get the joke. It just kind of makes the main character look just as awesome as everyone else, and makes it really serious and really epic all the time. And there's none of the like, where's the joke? It like misses the whole point. But the manga is really good. The anime I don't care for. I feel the opposite about Mob Psycho 100 though. Um, I feel like the anime is really hype, but the manga I don't feel much for the manga. It doesn't get across the hypeness as much. But One Punch Man is good. One Punch Man is good as long as you read the manga. Mega Man, NT Warrior. Um, this does really well where the anime kind of is kind of meh. The anime is enjoyable, but the manga is really really bueno. This is one, Aragon, the first book. Uh, this is one I read recently, and it's really good. It captivated me interested immediately. Um, the Butcher's Daughter. I mean, I haven't seen her because it's a book, but she sounds pretty hot. And so does the Elf Girl. Um, so I think they said the Butcher's Daughter was like 6 feet tall, and that's pretty hot. Um, Young Avengers. This is my favorite Marvel comic book. I really like it. I really think it should get a movie adaptation. Um, it's I don't know. It's just really good. um, the characters are great. It kind of gives us. It's like the next generation of superheroes. Um, so and it has one of my favorite lines. I have no powers, but I'm doing this anyway. Every, everyone being a superhero is great. Everyone should try it, and that line has just really stuck with me, and I just really like Young Avengers. Number 10, Magi. Of course, I would put Magi in my top 10 anime if it ever finished. Um, but since I really didn't like the end of the manga. But since the only way to finish the story is through the manga, so I put it here instead of in the top 10 anime. This this is a really nice story, even though I really didn't like the ending. Um, but other than that, it's great. These three Jokers, the main characters, they have such good chemistry together. They play off each other so well. Um, it's a good time. Magi's good. Honorable mentions: Don't At Me. The Complete Tales of Winnie the Pooh makes me cry every time. Don't At Me. This is a banger. Scott Pilgrim. This is like a guilty pleasure because it's like Scott Pilgrim is a terrible human being. Everyone in this book is a terrible human being, but by God, is it not hilarious? um, there's so much absurdity in this series, like being a vegan grants you psychic powers. It's a fun read, man. The Dragon Well. I have not read any of the new adventures of, I think it's called Dragonlance. I've only read the Dragon Well, but the characters and the story captivated me almost instantly. It's a good book. My favorite character is Sindri. Top 10 movies: Aladdin. The genie is the best character in anything ever. He's great. Even better than Kanji. Even better than Mickey Mouse. Even better than Mario. This guy carries this whole movie on his back. And it's basically just, the movie is basically just 2 hours of Robin Williams doing improv, and it's wonderful. I love it. Also, the music's really good. You Never Had a Friend Like Me. Land Before Time. Don't At Me. When I was 5, this movie was my obsession, and it's still awesome. It has dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are great. I love Land Before Time. Littlefoot's my bro. Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo probably tells the most, as perfect of a story as you can possibly can. I love the pace. The pacing's great. The characters are great. Marlin, he feels, even though he's a fish, he feels like a real person, and that's incredible. And I really like the scene where the pelican tells Nemo about his dad's adventures, and he realizes how great his dad is. It's such a good scene and such a good movie, and there's not really a villain in it either. Like, yeah, there's that the dentist and his kid, but they're not really malicious. They're just ignorant and dumb, and it's just kind of, they're not really villains. They're just kind of idiots. um, who don't have any value for life other than humans, like most people do. It's a good movie. Mulan's great. Um, it's a good war story, has great music. I really like Mushu. He's cool. Um, Make a Man Out of You is a timeless classic. Pokemon the Movie 3. I was gonna say something about Szechuan sauce, but then I decided I don't need to do that. But I did it anyway because I'm a hack. Pokemon movie 3. If I was gonna pick one Pokemon movie, it would be this one. The animation is beautiful. The story is really touching. Ash's mom is in this movie, and she's beautiful. I should have put her in my top 10 waifus. Uh, Again, it would just never end. Um, yeah, I love this movie. Shrek, it's a meme, but um, this is DreamWorks' best movie. Shrek 2 came pretty close, but they never made one as good as this. It might be a meme, but it has layers. Tangled. Tangled, I didn't expect to like as much as I did. But the scene with the paper lanterns is absolutely beautiful. And it's hilarious. The two main characters, Rapunzel and Flynn, they have such good chemistry. They bounce off each other so well. Uh, it's a good movie. Also, she looks great with short hair. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I was not a Spider-Man fan until I watched this movie. Now I love Spider-Man. This movie is incredible. Everyone should see it. It uses a new at the time, animation technique. Um, the humor is spot on. The story, the story is gripping. The characters are great. It's a good movie. Um, that's basically it's 4 in the morning, so that's basically what it's gonna boil down to. A lot of these, it's just good. Moana. This has got Dwayne the Rock Johnson, man, and he sings about being the greatest thing since sliced bread. I mean, do I need to say any more? It's a good movie. Also, the part with Tekka is really cool. Fantasia. I was gonna put the Muppets movie here because, don't at me. That movie's awesome. Um, and it, the climax kind of brings me to tears a little. I consider it to be the definitive end to the Muppets canon. Um, but Fantasia is awesome. The only reason it's down here so low is because not all of them are great. Like the one with the Pegasuses and the Centaurs is kind of a snooze, except for that one moment where you can kind of see the Centaur's nipples. But Night on Bald Mountain is amazing. It's incredible. It's it like it takes you by the balls, and it's like, hey, here's fucking Satan, and it's like, dude, I could watch it a million times and never get bored of it. It's beautiful. It's it's beautiful. That I there's it's beautiful. There's nothing better that I can say about it. It's beautiful. Fantasia is beautiful. Top 10 VTubers. I fell into the VTuber rabbit hole. Um, as you can probably tell by one of my bookmarks. um, so number 1, Matsuri. Um, it's so funny how she started out as Say So and then became like the devil incarnate. She became Hololive itself, and she became God. Everything she says is hilarious, and every time she opens her mouth, you can feel Yagu's dream dying as his soul leaves his body. That series great. Ninomai Inais. Ina is great for the complete opposite of Matsuri, whereas Matsuri, you know, looks innocent, but she's actually the devil incarnate. Looks like the devil incarnate, but she's actually really innocent. Um, she's just really relaxing to like just turn on her stream and just sit there and be comfy. I really like Ina. Uh, Usually I can't watch a whole stream through. Um, usually I like click away or like I have it in the background while I like play a game or something. Not with Ina. She really holds my attention. better than any other streamer can, really. She'd be number one if Mitsuri wasn't so damn hilarious. Callie, there is not a single song that Callie has dropped that I haven't loved. At first, because I'm not the biggest fan of rap, so at first I was kind of like iffy on her, but after a few listens, I was like, this is pretty fire. Also, she's very down to earth. Unlike most YouTubers, she doesn't play a character. She doesn't play a persona. Um, she's just she's just herself, and she interacts with the chat a lot, which is I like. I feel like it doesn't feel like I'm watching her. It feels like I'm with her, and I really like that. Because I'm a lonely person and I just want to hang out with cool people, and she's really cool people. I would love to be friends with her, but I don't think she knows I exist. um, Santa, same with Callie, is that she's really down to earth. She's uh, interacts with the chat a lot. It feels like you're hanging with her in her streams instead of just watching her. I made her a Valentine's Day card this year, and she liked it. She put it on her stream. I was so happy. Um, so yeah, she's another. Ina, and Callie, I would love to be friends with. They sound like awesome people to be around. Um, and they're just a joy to watch and hang with. Kiryu Koku, um, she is no longer with us, unfortunately. She graduated. Um, we like to joke that, Yagu's dream is dead. But if you ask me, Kiryu Koko, the one who re- most regularly killed Yagu's dream on a regular basis, if you ask me during her graduation stream, in the last moments, in her final performance, she made his dream come true, and no one can take that away from her. And of course, in the number 5 slot, she also shares with, in not a decimal, with her current incarnation. I'm not going to say who it is, even though everyone knows, but it's just because it's considered bad form. But she is very much the same. So that also shares the number 5 spot. If you know who it is, if you know, you know. If you don't, you know. 5.1, because Kiryu Koko, even though she does have a current incarnation, who is just as good as her previous one, 5.1, Lucajin. I've been a fan of Lucajin for a long time, even before she became a VTuber. For longer than I can remember, ever since high school. Okay, so maybe less than longer than I can remember. But she's always been a classic person that I've watched, along with Chugga Conroy, Proton John, the classic Let's Players. And, her becoming a VTuber, it just means I can put her in this list. And she's great. I loved her before she was a VTuber, and I love her now. She gave me a Valentine's Day card. She's really cool. I mean, she gave all of her viewers a Valentine's Day card, but, that includes me. Amano Pikami, like Callie, like, Lucajin too, like Sana, Callie, Ina, Pikami's really down to earth, and, it really does feel like, that, I'm like losing consciousness. Oh, hello? Oh, okay. It really does feel like you're with her instead of watching her. I really liked. I would like again, along with Ina, Callie, and Sana, and Lukajin. I would like to be your friend, because she seems like a really cool person that I would like to be friends with. Crony, the way she's full of herself is just hilarious. And I mean that in the best way possible. Everything she says is hilarious. Um, when I think of her, I think of that one time she said, "Some of you may die, and that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make." Um, she's the way she's just like basically a war criminal is just hilarious to me, and I love her attitude and everything about her. Um, she's a funny girl. Uh, Crony's good. I like Crony. Um, her 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 lack of a respect for life, as I guess was gonna try to say that's what I like about her. Um, she had one video where people said her mascot was best girl, so she just said, "Huh," and then her mascot disappeared. It was she she she's she's a riot. Sakura Miko, um, she's also hilarious. Um, of course, we all know. Uh, she says such horrid things, but in the cutest voice. And that's really funny. Of, she has said the N word, and and she did it in a really high pitched voice, and it's I love Sakura. Project Melody. So Project Melody, Melody achieved the impossible, and that was she was originally a cam girl on Chatterbait that used the VTuber model, um, but she has such a magnetic personality. I ended up regularly going to her Chatterbait streams, despite the fact that I'm asexual. She she did the impossible and made an asexual man watch porn for the plot. Melody is pretty powerful. Number 10, Crunchyroll Hime. So, when I heard that Crunchyroll was going to be launching their own VTuber, I kind of thought it would be like a soulless corporate thing. But the person who portrays Crunchyroll Hime is the most genuine. There's so much heart uh, put behind her. You can tell she loves what she does so much, and there's so much soul into her. After her debut stream, I just checked it out of morbid curiosity, but she earned herself a subscriber. Um, she's a joy. Um, to just come to her stream and just chill out with her. Um, she's awesome. I would like to be friends with her, but I probably have less likely to be friends with Crunchyroll's mascot than I do to anyone else on this list. Definitely check out Crunchyroll Hime. She's a real joy. An honorable mention goes to Kizuna Ai because she's not the first VTuber. Amy Yamato is. I think that's her name. But she was the first one that I found, and I really liked her back in the day. I really liked when she would go into, take like an a letter out of a hat, and she would make that noise like chaka 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 chaka. But over time, her channel went through a bunch of changes, and now there are a bunch of different Kizuna eyes, you know, different people portraying her, and I really only ever cared for the original. So I unfortunately had to demote her to honorable mention status, but she's important to the entire history of uh, this little subculture. Uh, and I did like her for what she used to be, even though I don't really watch her anymore. I do miss old Kizuna. I miss her a lot. I liked it when she called someone mentally retarded. um, Top 10 Western series. Avatar tells an awesome story. Characters are all lovable. Um, and it has a really satisfying ending. It's one of those series that just gets. You don't want to. After you've seen the last season, it's hard to go back to the first season because it's just so. You just. The first season's good, don't get me wrong, but the last season's just so good that it makes the first season seem not as like what am I trying to say? The it just gets better as it goes. It just makes it hard to go back, I guess is what I'm saying. Amphibia is really good. I actually didn't expect it to be good at all, but it's really good. It feels truly magical. It really feels like you're lost in this magic world of mushrooms and frogs. And it tells a great story. The characters are all lovable. I love Amphibia. It destroyed me. It made me laugh and cry. Castlevania, way better than it has any right to be. It's hilarious. It tells a really cool story. Characters are great. It's a good series. DuckTales. Both this and the reboot are equally as good. So this isn't one over the other. You know, it's a timeless classic. It's a good series. I really like Scrooge. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Okay, so I called this Top 10 Western Series instead of Top 10 Western Animations, specifically so I could put in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. This show's great. I love it. It's a true classic. It's a story all about how his life got flipped, turned upside down. So let me take a minute, just sit right there. I'm gonna tell you how he became the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. In West Philadelphia, born and raised in the palace is where... Fuck, I fucked it up. You get the idea. I mixed it up with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Little Karibo's Yu-Gi-Oh! Version. This is a series I didn't think I'd like. But since it's made by the creator of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and Powerpuff Girls, I gave it a chance, and I couldn't believe how much I liked it. The two main characters, they've had their character development already done, and you find out more about them as you explore their past. It's more so about a story about the villain, and the whole series is basically his big redemption arc, and it comes to a really satisfying conclusion. And I watched this when I was struggling with depression, and the Cube of Darkness episodes really struck a chord with me, and it really... I don't think it helped me with my depression, but it really made me see that, like, of how you can be happy one moment, and then all it takes is for one thing to go wrong, and it brings you right back down to your depression. And that really struck a chord with me. And it was more so finding a way to be genuinely happy than just faking it. And I really liked that because that's what I wanted. And also, the main character at first seems like an idiot, but the more you learn about him, the more you realize that what he's doing, he's not an idiot. He's actually very brilliant, and what he's doing it on purpose because he's done it before and he knows it works. It's a brilliant, very well thought out series. Speaking of very brilliant, well thought out series, Gravity Falls has a great sense of humor, a great overarching mystery, and it really nails the vibe of going into the woods to find monsters or solve mysteries of supernatural origin. And I was really sad to see it go when it ended, but it had a really satisfying ending. A lot of people want a season 3. I don't, because I don't want to lose that perfect ending. Samurai Jack. Speaking of endings, Samurai Jack had a really good 5th season that I was really worried because it was being for more mature audiences. I was really worried it would kind of lose itself, but it didn't. It just had a really bad ending. It could have used just one more episode. I felt the fight with Aku was really unsatisfying because it wasn't really a fight. He just kind of ran away, and Jack killed him as he was running away, and that really left a sour taste in my mouth. But other than that, the series is great. Jump Good is a great episode. It's he and the Scotsman have really good chemistry together. There's not a whole lot of dialogue, but it doesn't need it. And of course, Aku is hilarious. Aku deserved better. Teen Titans. The only reason this is so low on the list is because it never ended. It ends on a cliffhanger. But characters all great. This is my favorite incarnation of these characters. Good story, good writing. Characters have a lot of depth. Beast Boy in particular gets really good character development. It's a good series. And Dofus Ach Trésors de Cherubim. I totally butchered that. But this is a really good show. The only reason it's so low is because most of the episodes are told as the main character, Cherubim, tells his grandson, or his adopted son, Joris, about his adventures he had when he was younger, and I find that the things that happen in the present day are more interesting than that. But it's a great show, has great sense of humor, really likable characters. It's a great series. My favorite is the Osamotis girl here in the background. She hits it different, man. Honorable mentions: The Amazing World of Gumball has really nice political satire and cultural satire that I think it deserved better than to be wasted on today's youth. I honestly think a lot of the show went over their heads. Ed, Edd and Eddy, of course, it's a classic. We know it's Rolf. The way it's just so over the top, son of a shepherd Rolf being so powerful. But it also just has a good vibe of just hanging out with your friends. It's down to earth and over the top all at the same time, and it's wonderful. Speaking of hanging out with your friends, Craig of the Creek gets an honorable mention because it reminds me of my own childhood, but better. Like, the things that they do are all things that, like, me and my friends pretended we did. Um, like on the playground. This is the things that these guys get up to is the kind of childhood I wish I had. Um, but yeah, it's just a really cute show. It's about kids playing together in the woods, and it's very imaginative. The humor's spot on. There's a whole subplot about Sonic the Hedgehog. It's good. The Goldbergs. This is kind of a guilty pleasure because it's gone downhill a lot recently, but it operates on over the top absurdist humor, which is right up my alley. And Seinfeld's a classic. The reason why a lot of people don't think Seinfeld is funny is because all those overused sitcom cliches, this was the first to do it. So actually, Seinfeld is really good, but it was too good for its own good. I really like the episode with the soup Nazi. This is what we do when we're in a Nazi regime. Top 10 Pokemon. Number 1, Blastoise. Of course, Squirtle was my first Pokemon, so I formed a real close attachment to Blastoise. I even kind of remember what moves he had. It was Hydro Pump, Counter, and I remember that specifically because I asked my mom, hey, is Counter a good move? And she said, no, that move's shit. And I'm like, well, I'm going to teach it to Blastoise anyway, and then I one-shot something. Like, the first time I used it, I was like, Mom, what are you talking about? Counter's awesome. And I think he also had Skull Bash because Squirtle used it in the anime, so I think I also wanted mine to use Skull Bash. And then the last move, it was either Strength, but I think I had someone else for Strength, or Blizzard. So I think it was Blizzard. I think I gave him Blizzard when I found it in the Pokemon Mansion. Or it could have been Strength. I know it wasn't Surf because I had Lapras for Surf. I taught Surf to Lapras. So it was the last one was either Strength or Blizzard. Alakazam is number 2 because Alakazam perfectly encapsulates my play style. He's fast enough to outspeed almost anything, and he has a high enough special attack to one-shot almost anything. I realized my love for Alakazam when I was playing Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and for the first time ever playing a Pokemon game, I caught an Abra. So I was really excited to use Abra because, you know, that motherfucker always just teleports away before you can catch it. And it was like right after Ecruteak City, you know, my Kadabra was level 25. I ran into Raikou, who was level 40. I used Psybeam on it and one-shot it. And it was like, I wasn't even mad. I was just impressed. My level 25 unevolved Kadabra, using not even its best move, Psybeam, you know, not even Psychic, on a level 40 legendary and one-shot it. It was in that moment I realized, this is a good Pokemon. And ever since then, Alakazam's been one of my favorites, because Alakazam, of course, is Kadabra, but better. And it kind of made me realize that that's kind of my playstyle in most games. I like to play the fast glass cannons. Of course, nowadays, Alakazam has been power corrupt. There are Pokemon faster than it that pack just as much, if not more, of a punch. But Alakazam will always have a special place in my heart because of that experience I had with him. Dratini is my favorite Pokemon. So, sentimentality-wise, Blastoise is my favorite, right? Alakazam is my favorite, gameplay-wise. Based purely on appearance, Dratini is my favorite. It's a perfect design. It has that really nice serpentine design. The blue and white color scheme, the gorgeous purple eyes, the little dot in the forehead, these really cool and adorable fin ears. Dratini is a great example of a perfect design. Dratini's good. Number 4, Caterpie. Caterpie's adorable. I mean, look at those little nub feet. Look at his little crest, his adorable eyes, the little bell he has, and the episode with Caterpie in the anime is so adorable. It cemented him as one of my favorite Pokemon. I mean, just look at this guy. He's adorable. And I really like the part where Pikachu pats him on the back because he gets sad that Misty doesn't like him. Number 5, Manaphy. Probably the coolest memory I have of Pokemon is playing Pokemon Ranger for the first time and finding Manaphy, the Manaphy egg, and like before Gen 4 was even announced. Like, I had no idea what this thing even was, and would like keep track of how many days you've had the Manaphy egg in the Egg Watch, and finally getting to transfer the Manaphy egg to Pokemon Diamond cemented Manaphy as one of my favorite Pokemons of all time. And if you think about it, in universe, you have to be 10 years old to get a Pokemon trainer's license, right? I was 10 years old when Diamond and Pearl came out, so if you think about it, because I had Manaphy before those games came out, and I transferred it to Diamond and Pearl, if you think about it, Manaphy was my first Pokemon, like, in universe. Because, when I was 5 and I picked Squirtle as my starter, technically I wasn't legally allowed to have Squirtle in universe. So if you think about it like that, Manaphy's kind of my starter. Zoroark, I never thought I would, in a million years, put Zoroark in my top 10 favorite Pokemon, but Pokemon Legends Arceus happened. Ever since Gen 6, I kind of had a thought like, man, Normal Ghost would be really cool. Would be a really cool typing. You'd have 3 immunities, and if you had Levitate, you'd have 4 immunities. And thematically, I think it would be really cool because you'd be like half dead. And then lo and behold, our first normal ghost type is Sinnoh Zoroark from in Pokemon Legends Arceus, and he looks so cool. He has that Kyuubi Kitsune thing going on with his eyes. He's kind of like a fox mask. He's based on a vengeful spirit. He has kind of like these blotches on these red blotches are supposed to be like smallpox sores. Canonically, he was driven out of Unova, which I'm not sure how that works because Unova is, America and Sinnoh is in Japan, for being like branded as like a witch animal, and they were forced into Sinnoh, where they could not survive and they died, and now they come back seeking revenge on those who drove them out in the first place and doomed them. And that's really cool. So not only is he ghost normal, but he looks awesome and he is awesome. And slap an air balloon on him, and you still got that 4 weaknesses. Of course, held items aren't in Arceus, but eventually he'll come to the main series. He'll come to a more traditional game where you will be able to put air balloon on him, and he will have 4 immunities. Yeah, I can't believe Zoroark of all things ended up being one of my favorites. Number 7, Bulbasaur. I like Bulbasaur. He's cute. He has that little that adorable bulb on his back. He's a dinosaur, and that's also awesome. Ever since he's been one of my favorites ever since Pokemon Mystery Dungeon assigned me to him that and said like, "Hey, you're a Bulbasaur." So I kind of see myself in Bulbasaur now. You know, if I was a Pokemon, I would be Bulbasaur. So I've always liked them. I always imagine him being cute and, you know, small, running around on my floor. And if you've ever seen that Chew Cute video with the baby Bulbasaurs, oh my god, it is adorable to die for. Shaman. So my favorite animal is a hedgehog. And I don't know why it didn't cross my mind, but for the longest time I never it never clicked in my head that Shaman was a hedgehog. But once I realized it, I really liked Shaman. I know I'm an idiot. The only thing, I would like about Shaman to be better is that it doesn't really have any spikes. It just has, grass. Um, so, but it has the perfect shape of a hedgehog in its main body. I don't like Skyform at all. I think Skyform looks really ugly. But Landform Shaman, I think, is a perfect design. Um, just if it had spikes, man, it would be perfect instead of, grass. And if you think about it, this Shaman is actually the only grass type Pokemon that is actually grass. All other grass type Pokemon are all different variety of plants, everything but grass, but Shaman is the only one who actually has grass on it. But I guess plant type just doesn't sound as good as grass type. Togedemaru has spikes, and he's also a hedgehog. So I've kind of think if we could just take his spikes and put them on Shaman for an alternative form or something, then that would be the perfect Pokemon. And of course, Chespin's a hedgehog, but fuck Chespin, he's a piece of shit. Cyndaquil. Cyndaquil is not a hedgehog, but he does have spikes. He is an echidna. And he's adorable. I always imagine him in kind of one of those little baby carrier things, and just having him around with his little feet dangling. And of course, I have very fond memories of Cyndaquil because of the story I already told you. I love Cyndaquil. Look at his little face. Look how happy he always looks, and his little snout, and I just want to snuggle with him. Also, I chose him as my partner in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. So I also have double the fond memories of him. And of course, number 10 is Snom, because look at him, he's adorable. Look at this cute little fan art I found with his little nub feet and holding a grenade. Snom's adorable. Evolving him to complete my Pokédex and Sword and Shield was the most painful thing I did, but I took him into the Elite Four and the final boss as Snom, and it was totally worth it. Honorable mentions go to Slowpoke. Look at this guy. He's great. I like Slowbro a little more because he has bro in his name, but Slowpoke's pretty cool. I have a shirt with just Slowpoke laying on his back in a pond, and it's just... it hits on all the right places. It's perfect for naps. A Slowpoke doesn't judge, man. Also, it kind of creeps me out a bit how he's omniscient, and the reason why he's so slow is because he's processing all the world's information at once, and that's why he has such high defensive stats, is because it takes just that long for the pain to register in his body. So yeah, Slowpoke, he looks goofy. Look at this absolute unit. But the more you think about it, the deeper he gets, and he gets a little bit horrifying. But I love Slowpoke. Look at that guy. I'm so glad Gen 2 had a whole like subplot about Slowpoke because he deserves it. Snorlax. Snorlax is awesome. Snorlax protects you from all the dangerous Pokemon past Celadon City, and no one ever thanks him for it because he wakes up in a grumpy rage. But Snorlax is awesome. I've always loved Snorlax. Look at this guy, absolute unit. I think I've used Snorlax in VGC more than any other Pokemon. I've used him 3 times. I love Snorlax, and I love using Snorlax. What an absolute lad. Also, he's based on one person at Game Freak, which I just think is really funny. Also, the Snorlax episode in the Gen 1 anime is so good. And Ash's Snorlax has 6 moves and can do a backflip. Also, pulverizing a pancake is the funniest thing you will ever see. It's great. Especially the way he does the fucking like lens flare eye thing. I even have it saved in yeah, there he is. I saved it seconds before death. Look at that. Look at that. That Snorlax is an absolute lad. Ditto. I really like that Ditto keeps his face no matter what he transforms into. I mean, he doesn't in the games, but like in Pokemon Snap, he does. You know, on the Nintendo 64. I just think it's really cute. And Pokemon knows how awesome this is because they have a whole line of plushies that's just Ditto as another Pokemon. There was a whole Twitter account, Ditto as Electra, that really took off for that exact reason. And of course, Gumi's adorable. I love Gumi. You know, there was a reason people were obsessed with Gumi back in the day, and I mean, look at him. He's great. I love Gumi. Clobbopus. Now, Clobbopus, no one's obsessed with Clobbopus, but I love him. I ended up swapping him out for Sirfetch'd in Pokemon Sword and Shield because he wasn't very strong. Because I refused to evolve him because he's perfect. He's my son. But he's adorable. I love Clobbopus. And Lugia. It was a toss-up between Lugia or Suicune because I have fond memories of both, but I eventually decided on Lugia because Gale of Darkness is a really good game, and Shadow Lugia is really cool. And of course, I have fond memories for the same reason I told you with my mother, with Suicune, but Lugia is really cool, and Aeroblast is a really cool move. We are almost done. Top 10 esports, VGC. This one's kind of a cop-out, because that's the one that I do, like, actually go to tournaments and do. But VGC is really fun. VGC is some of the most fun I've had in a long time. And I'm really looking forward to doing it again. Super Smash Brothers, this was the only way I could get this beautiful mural. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the game of the century. I genuinely believe even if there's another one, I don't think it'll be as good as Ultimate. I am prepared to play Ultimate to the end of time. It will become my Melee, and I am okay with that. But unlike Melee, it's actually a good game and not busted to hell. Yeah, Smash Bros. Ultimate, it's my favorite fighting game ever. Dragon Ball Fighter Z, this was this is what got me into quote-unquote real fighting games, or as the FGC calls them, any fighting game that's not Smash Bros. But yeah, Fighter Z is really good. I love Dragon Ball. And I really like that it was a game first and a Dragon Ball game second. Yeah, I really like this game. and I even have a rival in it. Fuck Grant. Uh, but yeah, this is a good game. Splatoon. I liked Splatoon 1 better than Splatoon 2. Um, all of the special moves in Splatoon 2 just kind of felt like nerfed versions of the specials in Splatoon 1. They didn't feel special. And Splatoon's just a lot of fun. It is a game I did not think I'd like, and I ended up loving. Also, Splatoon 1 has Squid Girl, so Smash Bros. 64. This game is janky for all the right reasons. Every game move in this game has like such high knockback. When Nintendo announced the Nintendo 64 expansion pass would have online play, I was so disappointed that they didn't include Smash 64 because playing this online would be absolute bonkers. I remember back in the day, I could not believe what I was seeing when I saw this game in the store. Pikachu fighting Mario. I was like, that's not Pikachu and that's not Mario. This can't be a real game. But lo and behold, it is. It really happened. And this was like blew my mind as a kid. And also Blastoise is in this game, and he's not in Smash Ultimate. So Smash 64 will always have a special place in my heart. Street Fighter 2. This is a really good game. This has withstood the test of time, and unlike Melee, I can see why. It's the best Street Fighter. It's a really fun game. I like it a lot. I main Chun-Li. I really like doing the Reskukiku. Yeah, it's just a really good game. It has withstood the test of time, and it's not hard to see why. I'm sorry, I'm kind of half-assing it at this point. It's 5 in the morning, and I just really want to finish this up and get to bed. This is the last thing I wanted to half-ass because of how big of a project it is and how much time I've spent it on. But, I mean, we're almost done, and we did all the important stuff. Now we're kind of in the less important top 10s. But Tekken 7. I'm going to tell you a story. Long ago, back when arcades were still a thing, there was one really awesome game at the arcade. And I got to play as a robot, and it was kind of a game where you punch and kick. For the longest time, I didn't know what it was until college, and when my friend in college showed me, it was Tekken 3. So I got Tekken 7 when it came out, because I was like, I've been looking for this game for years. And it really is as fun as I remember it being. I really like Tekken 7. Or Tekken in general, really, but Tekken 7 is the one I play. Soul Calibur 6. I got this game on a whim just to mess around with the character creator. And it ended up being really fun. I was like, this game has no right to be this good. Yeah, I was like, who kept Soul Calibur from me for so long? And yeah, Soul Calibur is really fun. I couldn't believe how much fun I had with this game. It's too bad the online is like dead, but you just play it single player. Speaking of the online being dead, I really like King of Fighters 13. I'm excited for King of Fighters 15, but 13 is one that I've actually played because King of Fighters 15 is not out yet. But yeah, I really like this game. It's a lot of fun. It's a good game, and the sprite work in this game is absolutely gorgeous. Pokken Tournament. This is another game that's kind of a cop-out because I am actually, instead of VGC this year, I'm entering Pokken Tournament just to shake things up. I really like it. It's really fun. It has a lot of depth to it with the 2D phase and the 3D phase, and of course Pokemon. I really like that Gardevoir. She holds her skirt down when she jumps. It's a really cute detail. Also, Player 2 Gardevoir with the red Gardevoir looks so sick. That should be shiny Gardevoir, not the teal blue thing that we have in the main series games. Honorable mention, Shrek Super Slam. This game is a league above the rest. I mean, look at this game. The only reason it's in honorable mentions is because it wouldn't be fair to any other game to give it a proper ranking. Shrek Super Slam is the greatest fighting game of all time, the greatest game of all time. And DNF Duel, the reason this is in honorable mention is because it's not out yet, but I played the beta and I really liked it. It, for all intents and purposes, could be the perfect game. It actually takes all the genres that I like and rolls it up into one game. It's a fighting game. It's based on an MMO. It has RPG elements and a mana system instead of like a special bar, a special meter. And some of the characters are summoners, so that's, your monster collecting Pokemon genre in there. It's got all my favorite genres rolled into one. This could be the perfect game. This is the game to be hyped about. And top 10 dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs. My two passions in life are dinosaurs and video games. And one day I hope to make a game about dinosaurs so I can combine my two passions. Number one, sauropods. I couldn't decide which sauropod I liked the best, either Brontosaurus or Brachiosaurus, so I just said sauropods. These are my favorite dinosaurs. They just have a really simple design. I say that like they're fictional. I like their long necks. I like how big they are. And for some reason, they just seem cuddly. It's one of the reasons I like Chikorita so much, because it goes from a pear with legs to a sauropod. So, a lot of people don't like Chikorita, but I love Chikorita. If I had to choose, I would say Chikorita is my favorite Johto starter. My mom picked Cyndaquil, and I love Cyndaquil, but I always kind of thought Chikorita looked a little bit better. Quetzalcoatlus. Look at this thing. It's huge. It looks like it could eat you, and it looks terrifying. And that's pretty neat. Plesiosaur. It's like a sauropod, but underwater and blue. And that's pretty cool. Lapras is pretty neat. I like Nessie in Super Mario 64. Pterodactyl. He flies, and that's cool. Jeremiah. This is the first mammal ever discovered in fossil history. It had another name that started with an M, but I can't remember what it is. And I liked it better than Jeremiah, but so for now we're just gonna call it Jeremiah. So Ichthyostega, this was an amphibian, but it is the first land animal in our evolutionary line. We are descended from the Ichthyostega. So that's pretty cool. But even further back than that is the Ammonite. Ammonite is Ammonite, and I really like Ammonite. Ammonite is cute. So I like Ammonite. Ammonite is my favorite fossil Pokemon. So that made me really like Ammonites. I was really excited when I found out there were dinosaurs in Pokemon. So, and Ammonite's my favorite, so Ammonite. Hyco Ichthys, even further back than the Ichthyostega, is the first recorded ancestor of humanity in fossil history. Archaeopteryx, these aren't really dinosaurs, they were more like the first birds, but every depiction of these just seems them to look absolutely beautiful, absolutely majestic. I love the Archaeopteryx. And Beelzebufo, look at him, it's Big Frogga. Honorable mentions, it's not a dinosaur, but Hedgehog is my favorite animal, so he gets an honorable mention. Look at him. Look how cute he is. I have a Hedgehog of the Month calendar. I've had one for the past 5 years. I get one every year. I love hedgehogs. Binturong. I put this one's fascinating to me because just of how unusual it is. It's not even extinct or anything. It's like a bear, but with a long prehensile tail and the face of a raccoon. It's an incredibly fascinating animal that I don't think a whole lot of people know about. Tapir, this is not extinct, but I always saw it as a window to the prehistory because it looks like something from prehistoric times. And that's always fascinated me. Thylacine, this one's fascinating because it was kind of extinct in recent history. There is black and white video of it. There are photos of it, and a zoo did have them at one point. And watching the footage of it, the only surviving footage that exists of the thylacine, is just absolutely surreal. Mothman. He's very handsome. He's the goodest of boys. And he's the only cryptid that I believe is real. And, of course, Mochimon. Look at this absolute lad. He's my favorite Digimon. Bonus top 10 MMOs. Guild Wars 2, I think, has the best combat. This is number 11 in the top 10. That's why it's the bonus. Guild Wars 2, I think, has the best combat. Probably, I consider my character to be the best representation of myself I've ever made in a game, even though it looks nothing like me. It feels like me. Let me show it to you. Let's see. There's him from the back. Yeah, there he is. That's the guy. It always kind of seems, he doesn't look anything like me, but, I like to think he feels like me, like, oh yeah, that's Christian. Guild Wars is so good, I decided to make it my forever MMO. I am prepared to play this game until the end of time, and that's a good feeling. Final Fantasy XIV, or as I like to call it, World of Warcraft, but better. And that really is what it is. The name that I usually use in video games is Ninjat, which is a combination of ninja and cat, and this is the only game that actually lets me be that, a ninja cat. So yeah, it's a really good game. My friends kind of don't like it. They liked it for a while, but then they decided that they didn't like it. I like it. I think it's a really good game. It's in my number 2 slot. my top 10 MMOs. PSO2, this includes base PSO2 and New Genesis, because it's a 2-in-1 kind of deal. This game's awesome. I reviewed it on Game a Week. I really like it. The action combat is awesome. The characters are really likable. My character is an absolute babe. Well, I'll show you her. Sega. Yeah, it's a Sega game. Where's my screenshots, pictures? Can you tell I'm like at the end of my rope, guys? But see, she's got abs. She's 7.5 feet tall. She's basically my idealized version of a woman. Ladies, if you look like this, please call me. But yeah, and people, I've gotten so many private messages in the game saying like, "Oh, you're so pretty, you're so." I'm like, they must never know that I am a dude, or else I will lose my brownie points. But yeah, this game is awesome. It has probably one of the most extensive character creators I've ever seen. I love this game, and I have a strict rule for games that basically never end. Is that if I need more than one hand to count on them, then of course I limit myself to 5. And this is definitely one of the MMOs that I remade my character for New Genesis, because I wanted to kind of like keep all the PSO2 stuff in PSO2. So I made my old character, but I thought, like, it would be like there's 1,000 years apart from each other, so I was like, okay, so it's a 1,000 year anime time skip. She gets buffed, she dyes her hair blonde, and that's pretty much it. So I called her Biggie Jat Super Saiyan version. So yeah, but yeah, this game is great. For fighting games and basically any type of game that I would play indefinitely. There's for when Callie streamed the game, I made this character to play it with her. I call it Mekamori. I always limit myself to 5 for games, for any type of game that lasts indefinitely, like like MMOs and fighting games and competitive games. So the ones you see in the top 5 are really important because these are the games that I play regularly. Everything under are just games that I play casually. World of Warcraft Classic, and I mean the Classic era. I'm currently raiding with a guild called Not Prepared, and they're really cool peeps. And currently we're doing it the hard way because we have so few people, because everyone went to Burning Crusade, and no one stayed in vanilla with us. We're progressing through AQ40. We just have AQ40 and Naxxramas to go, and we're doing it with 30 people instead of 40. So it's a challenge, but it's fun. Mabinogi. To this day, I have not played a game anything like Mabinogi. It is a game totally unlike anything I've ever played, and I don't think there will ever be a game like Mabinogi ever again. It truly feels like life in another world. of course, it's gone downhill a lot. It's a shadow of what it used to be, but it's still worth going back to because, again, there really is nothing like it. Wakfu is a turn-based MMO that, operates on strategic combat. Really fun. I just wish more people played it. The animated series is actually more popular than the game it's based off of, which is a shame. I mean, the series is good, don't get me wrong, but I like the game too, and I wish more people played it. RuneScape, like EverQuest, there will never be another game like RuneScape. Although some people do say Black Desert is modern day RuneScape. It's such a shame because it's a complete shadow of what it used to be, both old school, because it's been optimized to hell and back, and it just ended up being, nowadays in both versions of the game, it's just a gross shadow of what it used to be. It's a shell of the great game it once was. This game, the first time I played it, gave me a complete indescribable feeling of pure wonder and excitement and adventure that very few games have ever brought to me again. I think only like playing World of Warcraft the first time, Dragon Quest, Builders, the Hobbit GBA game, things like that. It truly felt like an adventure that was my own, and it really was like I was transported into another world, a fantastical world, and it breaks my heart to see that the game is basically like butchered. EverQuest, I played EverQuest for Game a Week, and I ended up really liking it. There's a reason why this game was once the king of the genre, because it really is that good. Also, I get to play Frog. Ragnarok Online, I also played Ragnarok for Game a Week, and I ended up really liking it. It's a fun game. This is the Korean MMO that started the whole Korean MMOs. It started it all, but unlike most Korean MMOs, it's actually very good, and I liked it a lot. Runes of Magic. Runes of Magic is a WoW clone, and it's super generic, and no one ever plays it, and it's very unoptimized, and it has memory leak problems, so it crashes all the time, but by god, I love it. In Black Desert, as the double bonus, the number 11, Black Desert, I put it on here purely because of the graphics. It is the most beautiful MMO. Of course, only the player models really look that good. The environments, enemies, and NPCs don't really look great once you look at them. So, MMOs kind of have to cut corners with their graphics in order, to get it running in real time on a massive scale that, with so many players running it at the same time. And Black Desert sacrifices, basically everything else to make the players look as good as they do, and they really do look beautiful. Most people call it the prettiest MMO, and I agree. So that's it. That's my top 10 manifesto. I can't believe this took so long. My mind is completely deteriorated, so I feel like I did a pretty bad job towards the second half of this video, but I feel like the first half I said what I wanted to say. I feel like the second half I didn't say what I wanted to say about each thing because by that point I was just so tired and my brain was just completely baked and toasted. But yeah, that's the top 10 list to end all top 10 lists. I hope you enjoyed. And it's 5:30 a.m. now, and I'm going to go to sleep once I reach the top of this list. As we look back on all the wonderful waifus, games, books, and anime, and dinosaurs that we have covered today. Of course, there are so many other things I wanted to put on this list, but I had to stop myself, and I'm really glad I did because I can't. My voice is pain, my head is pain, I have the biggest headache, I'm so tired. But we did it. We did it. We did the whole thing. I'll catch you guys next time, and remember, if your favorite game or favorite anime or favorite thing isn't on this list, it's trash because my opinion is objectively correct. Good day, I'm Christian, and you're a loser.